All right. Are we ready to roll? We rolling?
We're rolling.
Did we get the steroid comment in there before we start?
We did.
You already talked about steroids in the past, right? So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. I don't care.
I don't give a fuck.
It's all prescription.
Yeah.
Actually, just had lunch with a good buddy of mine. He's in the Coast Guard, fellow photographer, and he's like, yeah. So he was talking about like taking tests and how his level is like 250 or something like that. And he's like, I got to get back on it, but I got to research this and blah, blah, blah. But then I see these guys are like 250 at like 45. And I'm like, the fuck you are. And a lot of
250 test level or 250 pounds?
pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's beefy,
and
dude.
Yeah.
and he's like over my fucking dead body. And he's like, but what I loved about that podcast in particular with Tim was just complete ownership, right? It's just like, as long as you acknowledge, just like, well, now I have no shit to talk. And so it's like, cool. And he's like, I finished out the episode.
Yeah, I'm not claiming natty, dude.
Yeah,
damn,
exactly.
no shit.
Dude,
What do you
actually,
weigh? You probably weigh fucking over 220.
230 right now.
Yeah, you're tall.
Yeah, pretty soft 230 right now. trying to reframe
What are you,
that.
like 6'2", 6'1"?
6'1".
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm heavier than I look, unfortunately.
No, actually, you look heavier than 230, 6'1". I'm 6'1", and like when I was 230, I feel like I didn't look as good as you.
Yeah, you look jacked, bro.
Well, it's all on the ground.
If I took enough stuff in order to get to 230, I would be bald.
Look at me.
All right, we're kicking it off officially. All right, so lot of stuff to catch up on. We're in the new space again. We're still figuring out the lighting. We got audio. We're still figuring it all out, but we are delivering, I think, a better product to you guys now than we have before. And I'm stoked for today. So, got my friend Austin Hancock on. He's got some amazing stories. Super excited to dive into it. Kevin is having his vagina tightened, so he's got a medical procedure. He's not able to join us today.
The actual real reason is even cooler. Kevin, as you all know, still works on a Hollywood production and works in Hollywood. So, yeah, he's currently doing that and consulting and making sure that the movies are accurate.
There you go.
Yeah. He's the guy we complain to, and we're like, dude, why the fuck is he carrying his gun like that?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, Kevin's the guy. I mean, Kevin was behind, what was the Benghazi one?
13 hours?
Yeah, 13 Hours. He was behind that. So, you're welcome.
Yeah. He's Jack Ryan, I think he's working on now.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. He's pretty top level of that stuff. All right, so today we're diving in a little bit about Austin. We met through Taylor Kavanaugh, who we had on here before. Just another main character. He's got a wild story.
Yeah.
And I saw you and him hanging out. And
Could you imagine
Fuck.
him and Taylor walking into a bar together?
Oh,
dude, totally.
God damn.
At least when I met my wife met Taylor, she's like, you guys are never going drinking together.
That's true.
It's probably safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw you guys hanging out. He's like, bro. You know, he talks.
Yeah, right.
Bro, you got to meet my buddy Austin. He lives in San Diego too. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. It sounds awesome.
Hell yeah.
And we met, been hanging out, similar paths, man. It's crazy we have all these conversations, and there's so much parallel and carryover, I think, because we have the military background, yes, but there's a lot of people in the military that I think they're kind of like, they end up being like one-trick ponies, or they're like the Uncle Ricos, or like peaked in high school.
Remember how good it once was?
Yeah, and then they talk about all this shit, and like, it's just not. And a case could be made that that's what we're doing here. But I think
leveraging your experience.
Well, we
Yeah.
went through the ebb and flow, right? Like,
Yeah.
remember when we all talked about when we first got out, we wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And then once we kind of got settled and established in careers, then we kind of circled back and like now we're kind of collectively old enough. It's like now we can talk about the heydays without getting out and first going right to that.
Yeah, trying to knife people. Yeah, but one of the things that I've noticed that is a really cool similar trajectory is the entrepreneurship path, where a lot of dudes who come from the military background either go several different ways, but my favorite way to watch and be a part of is the entrepreneurship path, because personally I think it's the fucking hardest. I know for me anyway, it's been significantly harder finding my way in the entrepreneurship world than it is in the military world. And I know you've had really good experience with that. I was actually just listening to your podcast on the way over here with Mike Ritlin.
Yeah.
So if any of you guys are watching this, we're going to that's like, what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Awesome
I don't know. We were
podcast.
just ripping, bro.
Yeah, it was good, man. I go into a lot of stuff. So what we're going to try to do here is uncover maybe some different stories, like stories that you haven't told before, maybe go a little deeper on stuff, because you've done so many podcasts and you're such a good storyteller that we want to go on not the darker side, but kind of like
dig
the,
whatever,
the
man.
flip side.
Yeah, for sure.
We normally start out with just kind of the background of like where you grew up as a kid, and we'll go from there.
Sure, awesome. So I was originally born in Wichita, Kansas. Grew up there until I was 8 years old, and my dad got transferred to Oklahoma City. And so I moved to Oklahoma City and pretty much grew up in Oklahoma. So right north of Oklahoma City is suburbs of Edmond, Oklahoma. I grew up in Edmond, Oklahoma. And I would say I grew up a pretty, middle class, average kid life. Like, I didn't come from the hood. I don't have any crazy stories like that. I mean, plenty of crazy stories as I get older. But I was riding my bike. I went to baseball practice. I could ride my bike to baseball practice. Just good old fashioned, I think, kid that ramped over his buddies, and we're in the woods hitting sticks and looking for the playboys. The older guys were hiding under rocks. Like, I mean, that was my life. I was in the woods, like out of my parents' house as much as possible, and I didn't have like a ton of woods, but it would be like the green belt behind the development, and like, dude, I've gone all the time as much as possible.
How old are you?
I'm 38.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
Yep. It was fun. It was an era before the internet took over, right? We were like the
want
cusp
to go back
of
to
that.
it.
I know. I remember I always joke around about like AOL chat and stuff in high school, right? Like,
as soon as you get that little blob, you're like,
you hit on chicks in there, but you wouldn't talk to her at school. And shit.
Exactly. Dude, I think that's the greatest thing about our generation, right, is we went from full analog to now AI and everything that we have. But, like, during that transition, we were old enough to kind of be a part of it, right?
100%.
We were 12, 15, 18, like right when all of that was happening. And it's just like, I mean, even the early computer was like a lot different than what we have now. Back in the day, you couldn't call on the phone when you were on the internet. And it's like,
we were training on Oregon Trail.
It was legit. That was our Sears school.
Hell yeah, it was.
But like our age demographic, like probably what would you say, like 35 to like 43?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like around there. We get to see
both.
Every aspect of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Every aspect. Yeah, it's wild.
It is totally wild. It's wild, too, and we'll dive into all the military stuff, too, because I think we're still the same generation that was watching fucking Predator and Arnold movies.
Yeah,
and was
for
like,
sure.
Fuck, and everything was about Vietnam. Like, I would go to the surplus store and build my own ghillie suit in the back of the woods.
Paintball.
Yeah, hell yeah, paintball. Yeah.
Dude, I feel bad for the kids nowadays, man. I'm like, who the fuck are your heroes, dude?
Yeah, because they don't have any anymore.
Yeah, some nerd on YouTube?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I saw a poll the other day on the news that asked a certain demographic of like 15-year-olds, what do you want to be when you grow older? What do you like? What was our answer back
YouTuber,
then, right?
Jacked.
Well, theirs is all YouTube.
Oh, mine back then?
Yeah, but ours
mine back then was
like,
I wanted to be a freaking. I wanted to be in the military, bro.
Yeah, I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was too dumb to do that, or not dedicated enough.
Yeah,
but it was that or a firefighter. But like, there was no concept of YouTuber being like an influencer.
It wasn't a thing.
And now, every 15-year-old that you talk to now wants to be an influencer.
Yeah.
What does that look like for our industry in America as a whole of manufacturing, producing? No one wants to be an electrician. No one wants to be a plumber. No one wants to be a firefighter. And certainly nobody wants to be a cop.
Well, I think they just want validation, and that's currently what they're seeing as validation. Because when we grew up, it was, a doctor, lawyer, all these things.
No one even knew what validation was.
Well, you don't think about it, but that's what you want. You want validation that you are successful, that you are accepted by your peers, that you have respect from your elders or whatever.
In some sense, though, we sought validation by being the tough guys too, right? Like,
yeah,
that's why you went to the
absolutely.
military.
Yeah, like you can go Arnold, you can go. There's different ways to achieve it, but that's really, I think, that's a very driving program as a young man. Is you want not so much validation, but you want to validate to yourself like where the fuck you fit. So you have these iconic things. I want to do this, and I think that's just maybe a mark of the culture differences where
for sure
it's like the young man still wants that.
Yeah,
it's just that they don't have like you don't want to be Arnold now, bro. Like, he's all leftist and
they don't even care about him.
Yeah.
I guess they got Sam Sulek and those guys, though. I mean, there's still guys that want to get jacked,
cool,
but he's not like that. It's not like the hero of the movie.
Yeah, some weirdo that doesn't get laid in the gym.
No.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pro skateboarder, so I guess like that was validation.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
right? I'm like, I just want to I want to be in a magazine, or I want to be in a skate park.
Yeah,
and now it's like, fuck it, YouTube.
I know, but that's also interesting, man. Like, side note here, we're big on tangents.
Yeah, no, it's rabbit hole city, man. It's all right.
But dude, that's one of my big goals with this is I hope that we can show like what it used to be like back when we were growing up, and that those things still exist. You know, these things still are cool. It's still cool to be a functional man. It's still cool to be controlled, aggressive, and violent when necessary.
100%.
Like, you have to be these things of like the definition of what a man is has changed, but what it means has been the same. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's just we're just using different words to describe.
Yeah, my validation now is having my shit put together.
Yeah, totally.
Right? I got a home, I got cars, I got an amazing wife, I got a good career, I got a good bank account. Like, that's my validation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fucking fame. It's stability.
Yeah, I want to be rich and not famous, dude.
That's the best.
I don't know, man. Brand is what will make you rich fast, man.
That's
it's
true.
The truth.
That's
That's
true,
why
man.
we're here videoing this. You know.
True.
It helps.
Yeah, man.
I think there just needs to be more of these kind of guys putting out there, and there's a lot of noise out there, man.
There is, dude. It's a lot of inauthentic fucks pretending to walk the walk, and they're just not doing it. Anyway, sidetrack. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. So grew up, like I
growing
said,
up.
in Oklahoma, and I mean, up until about 17, I was a pretty good kid. You know, I was just doing my thing. You know, got in a few fist fights at school, regular shit, nothing crazy. Raised by my folks are still together, pretty conservative family. No booze in the house. Nobody was really like cussing unless you were getting your ass chewed out. Church on Sundays. All your buddies were within a bike ride away. Or a phone call.
Dude,
you know,
that's awesome,
that was
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
It's really cool.
That's how it was. It was just the suburbs, the neighborhood. You know, and it was awesome. But you know, towards like my end of my high school in general, I got myself in a lot of trouble at that point, and was just kind of testing. I mean, growing up with a conservative household, I was like, yeah, fuck, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You know, everybody's trying to break free. Dad doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. Doing this. Nothing good happens after dark. Fuck that. I'm going to check out all the dark. You know, I'm going out as late as possible. I'm going to hang out with these people and do these things.
Yeah,
and
some lessons you got to learn for yourself.
you got to learn for yourself.
I was the same way.
Yeah.
Same way.
Yeah. I mean, you know, growing up doing sports, you know, my dad he's a man's man as well. And he's like, you could start, but you're not going to quit. And after the season's over, then you can decide if you want to do it again. Things like that. You know, if I ever catch you at school starting fights and you're the asshole, then you're going to be in big ass trouble. But if somebody fucks with you and you don't defend yourself, you're going to be in big ass trouble.
That perspective goes a long way, man.
Yeah, man, that was huge. I remember being like he would be like, yeah, if you somebody fucks with you and picks on you or is doing something and you defend yourself, you're not in trouble at home. You'll have to reap the consequences of society for schooling. But there was a couple times that I can recollect, which I probably never told this story, so it's a good one. In like middle school. Middle school sucks, bro. Fucking for everybody. You get zits, you don't fucking two pubes, and you don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so you're getting in fights and everybody's talking shit to each other, but nobody knows why. And so
just hormonal.
Yeah. So you get in fights and shit. And I remember a few times when I would get in trouble, it would be somebody fucking with me, right? Just some other kid fucking with you. And you look back now. I look back now as a 38-year-old man, and I'm like, you never know what somebody else's home life is like. And your parents tell you that when you're a kid, but you're like, you don't know anything but what you know.
You have no concept.
Yeah, you have no concept.
You think everybody has yours.
Yes, 100%.
But then you got the weird kid that looks like Pigpen that like shows
smells like cat piss.
And cigarettes.
Yeah, every time.
It always
wears the
cat piss
same
and cigarettes.
shirts and shit.
Yeah, same shit every day, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember there was at least one specific time where my dad came up to the school after I got in trouble and I was going to like in-school suspension and shit. And he was like, did my son, what happened? And they were like, well, he did this and this. But the other kid did too, and so they're both going to get punished. And he goes, that's not how it fucking works in society. Like, so he like defended me and then took me home, like essentially. And I think it was good because me having younger kids now, and my kids are in school here, they're in school. And so I think about like how much I admired him now as a father for fucking sticking up for these people that were teachers that look like authoritarians and like showing me that just because that they're an authoritarian of school doesn't mean that they're fucking right. And I was like,
dude,
perspective like was massively
That's
shifted
such an
at that
important
point.
lesson, man, because a lot of people think that what's right is corresponding with legal, and it doesn't. I mean,
Or
usually,
even the person that's in charge saying it, right? Like when
yeah.
you're a kid in school, and I
Well,
watch
in
my
school,
kids.
it's not even legal. It's not even fucking based off of principle. It's just based off of like some retarded fucking bitch's opinion that's making fucking 20 grand
100%.
that wants to
Very
do
true.
this. And like that's also one of the biggest things I've learned. Like now being 38, I'm like, you know, I've been to a few parties and seen a few teachers. Actually, the one at my bachelor party.
Yes.
Dude, she was a 9th grade math teacher getting booped, like racking lines, like doing all this shit. And then she fell off a 4-story roof at my bachelor party house and like shattered her body. And I'm like, and you expect me to take this woman's opinion off of
Yeah.
what right looks like
Exactly.
as a father?
Exactly.
I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. Like, I am grandmaster in what my child learns and doesn't learn, and I'm not going to let you dictate
Absolutely.
this.
And that's one of the biggest issues. I mean, we can go down this rabbit hole for fucking hours, but like that's where it starts. I think that's one of the biggest problems.
Dude, yeah, and as a man too, like one of the things I realized when I was younger was that, like there's a difference between being right and what's legal, and oftentimes like what's right is illegal.
Right.
And just because something is legal doesn't mean that it's right. There's a
Right.
lot of things like squatting, for example. I'm sure you
Yeah.
deal with this in your real estate stuff. I'm like, dude, that's
All
you
the
should
time.
just be able to go in and take it back to these motherfuckers' heads if they don't pay. I'm like,
Facts.
but no, they've got all this fucking like.
Oh, dude, get
legal.
this. This is a good example. I had a squatter. My first rental property I ever bought. I'm fucking stoked. My wife and I get the keys, and I was a builder at the time already, so I knew business a bit, and I could get the keys, go down to the fucking south side I want to look at this thing. It's so exciting. We're gonna be millionaires, you know, in their heads and shit. And we go and we open the door, and there's people squatting in it in the first fucking house that I buy. Like after closing, you get the key, and I go in there. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, you guys need to get out. She has like a piece of paper, like this notepad, and then it's like some jimmied up bullshit fucking lease and stuff. And I was like, whatever. I'm like, fucking call the cops. This is my house. You got to get out. Cops come and they're like, yeah, no, I can't kick her out. They're like legally, and this is in Oklahoma, so this is a landlord-friendly state. And anyways,
why?
because that she had a lease that said that she was leasing it from somebody, and supposedly
From whom?
It doesn't matter if they have anything written on a piece of paper like that, even in landlord-friendly states, like because you got to think in reverse, right? The
Rip
cop
that
just
shit up,
can't.
dude.
Cop just can't come over. What if I'm the bad guy? There's
Well,
so
I know
many
the
other
cop
scenarios.
isn't the way to go about this.
Right. But we can get him out. We did get him out.
Yeah.
For sure. But so what I did is
Oh
I knew the guy that I had bought it from, and I was like, hey, bro, I was freaking out. I was like, what the fuck? There's somebody in here. He's like, he was an experienced landlord and investor. And he's like, oh, no, I'll take care of it. He goes, and I'll let you know in the next like 24 hours. And so his property manager called him and says, get the fuck out. I think he gave her like $1,000 and they were gone.
Yeah.
But essentially she had like a written up bullshit lease that was a sublet from the person that had the real lease supposedly. And that person's lease was over and went out, and these people were still in it.
Wow.
And people can break in and just
That
sit
shit
in there
would
and shit.
infuriate.
It's a horrible problem here in
I would
California.
go straight to like knees.
Yeah,
I would go
100%
mafia.
You want to, but at the same
yeah.
time, you know, you're like,
I just dumped, $1.5 million on this property that I'm trying to develop, and I'm trying to do this. You don't even have a fucking driver's license.
Yeah.
And you're shitting in a bucket. You're like,
That-
nah,
yeah.
come here.
That's the kind of thing that infuriates me so much I don't even want to talk in public what I do.
I know. Facts.
But it would be solved.
Nor should you because it's documented. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh man.
So yeah, man, that's my story. And then after, in high school, that's when I started to fucking get in trouble, full of piss and vinegar, trying to test everything out. You know, mom and dad were like telling me to do this, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I want to do some fun shit. You guys don't even know. You haven't experienced life like I want to.
I got a question for you. What did your parents do?
So my dad was an engineer, so he went to college formally and super smart guy, but he grew up, my grandfather on the Hancock side is an entrepreneur, and so he owned his own dirt work company just to running equipment and stuff in Kansas,
Yeah.
and dug basements. And then my dad was like, I'm not fucking doing construction, went and got a degree, became an engineer. My dad's super smart, and he's good with his hands, like he can actually build shit. And so I could never do anything right as a kid because he's a fucking engineer, man. Even when I worked for him after the military. And I'll tell you all this backstory because it's important. But my dad's so smart. When he got out of college, he was making like $80,000 a year at the time, which is in the 80s, working for a nuclear power plant, bro.
ton.
Yeah.
A nuclear power plant, the one up there in Kansas. And I was like, so looking back, I'm like, fuck, he was pretty smart. Anyways, he worked for the power company and then got transferred to Oklahoma. And then about after a year, they laid him off when we got transferred. So then he started going. It's funny because he wanted to get away from construction, but he went back to what he knew. And he started a building company and started doing construction. And so that's all I knew him really doing. I didn't know him as the engineer. I was too young, like 10 years old, you know.
And mom?
And Mom, so she ran the books, bro.
Oh,
Old
really?
school entrepreneur style.
yeah.
Yeah, she did the bookkeeping on the computer. That's why we had a computer at the house that I
Hire
got
from
on
within.
AOL, and that's what we did.
Hire
That's
from
how my
within.
grandparents were on that side. Then my other grandparents on my mom's side were, he was more like corporate style oil and gas, which I got to watch that whole journey unfold too. Like the whole, 25 years and you can retire, but we're going to fire you at 23. That shit's fucked up. And then he has to go back to work in his 60s. And so I watched both sides, entrepreneur, family, bookkeeper, everybody's trying to hustle and grind. My parents were, and then my grandparents on the other side were the other side. So and honestly, going back to what you said about entrepreneurship, I take it for granted that that's all that I knew. And my wife, her dad just did a very small flat work concrete company, paycheck to paycheck type guy. But we look back because we see so many people paralyzed to start their own business. And I think one of the things that made it easy for us is that that's all we knew.
Yeah.
It was like our dads
You already saw behind the curtain.
I only knew that's what it was.
Dude, that's a big thing. I think I notice when I talk to people that don't have any business experience, they often don't. Their biggest fear is starting because they think they don't know enough. And I think if they got to see behind the curtain, like, hey man, we all don't know shit.
Their boss probably doesn't know shit.
We're all still figuring the fuck out. Like, you just got to go do it, man. You just got to go figure it out. We had an employee recently. We just had to let her go. She's great, but we have a really good team. One of the things that kind of irked me. She's a leftist, so she doesn't listen to the podcast. So she won't hear this.
I was about to say, dude, you can say whatever you want. I guarantee she ain't listening.
Oh, no, yeah, she ain't listening. She's a cool chick, but very left. And we'd task her with something, and she's, well, I don't know how to do this. I'm like, I don't fucking know either. Like, go figure it out.
Right? You know how many times I've said that?
I don't know.
Never. Yeah. I've never said I don't know how to do this.
No, you're just like, fucking figure it out.
Raj.
Well, she thinks that I
do. With the world
at
your fingertips, Google it.
I don't know how to do it either.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show the difference.
Yeah, and that's...
Well, there's problem solvers and there's not, man.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, that's all you're doing is solving fucking problems.
But I think more people would get into entrepreneurship, not that they should or not, it's a whole different conversation, but I think more people would be less afraid to get into entrepreneurship if they knew that the people who they think have their shit together, I mean, we know some things, mainly what not to do because we made mistakes, but we're still figuring it out, man. Like, we're still, even this podcast, the businesses that I've had for fucking 18 years, we're still figuring it out every day. So don't be afraid that you don't have the answers.
100%.
Just go find the answers and just go take those fucking steps.
I remember being in one of my most financially stressful points, and this was a couple of years into entrepreneurship. I was building already. I was doing well. I thought I had it all figured out, right? And then you get kicked in the teeth. And I was just like, fucking, you wake up at 3 a.m, you can't fucking sleep. Yep. Everybody knows if you've ever been an entrepreneur.
Facts.
And I just remember really realizing at this point, I don't know how I framed it in my brain, but I'd wake up, I'd get on the treadmill, I'd try to listen to these books to change my life, whatever it took, man. I realized I needed new information. That was the fucking deal. It's I only know how entrepreneurship was done from my growing up. But doesn't mean that that's the right way. If I want the same results that they have, I'm going to continue to do what they say. But if I want different results, I should ask other people.
Yep.
And I just remember being like, man, I'm really stressed out. I have a $100,000 problem at this time. And $100,000 is a fuckload of money to me at that time, too. And I was like, man, I was just, like I said, stressed out, couldn't sleep. All these things are going on. I got the house payment. I got these kids. I just had kids. They're really young. And I for some reason, I thought about it. And I'm like, okay, so what about Sears when they were going bankrupt, or Enron when they were going through their bullshit, and all these other companies that go and tank, Kmart. Can you imagine being the CFO and or one of the highest board members on that, and then that tanking? So if that's $1 billion problem, we'll call it, and I'm dealing with this, I think the feeling that you feel is the exact same. So the only thing that you can overcome and work on is how you handle stress. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people cannot do and tie together. And I think that's another good reason why being in the military does help with how you handle the stress, right? Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of one of my very first mentors, one of the guys that kicked me off into entrepreneurship. I was fucking scared, dude. I was out of the military at the time. I'll get into the whole story in a minute, and I remember him saying, what's the worst thing that could happen? Because he was like, I was bitching about working for my dad again after I got out of the Marine Corps, and I was running skid steers and fucking welding, and I was like, this isn't it, bro. I was sitting in a skid steer for 7 days, moving a fucking dirt pile from here to here, and I was like, this is my life, just fucking pissed, I'm out in Podunk, Oklahoma, and I'm like, I'm talented, right? I'm running low boys, skid steers, I can weld, I can think, I can do all this shit. What am I doing? Just trapped, and I felt like my life was passing me by minute, and it was. And he was like, what's the worst case scenario? And I was like, dude, fucking bankruptcy, like all this shit, like this and that. He's like, no. Like, what if all that happens? What would you do? I was like, well, I guess my parents are solid. Like, I guess I'd move into their basement for a little bit. My wife and my 2 kids, I'd feel like a massive piece of shit.
Right.
But like, and then I would get myself back and I'd figure it out. Like, I would get a job. Like, I would do whatever it takes for my family, right? And he was like, okay, so what's going to happen if you don't do anything? And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
No, and he also was like, didn't you just get back from Iraq like 3 years ago? And I was like, yeah, dude, like no big deal. Like, well, of course. What does that mean? And he was like, yeah, but you like were you not worried about like dying in the worst case scenario there? I was like, nah, I was fully committed. Like, it is what it is, you know? And but it put it in perspective. Like, you're willing to go do that, but then now you're too scared to go even take on and
Dude, so true.
attack your own life. And I was
so
like,
fucking true.
Fuck. And I think that's where most people are. When you say most people shouldn't be entrepreneurs, I see so many people, since I coach so many people on this shit, it's like they're paralyzed by the fear, man.
Well, honestly, I don't think most people should do it. I think most people
totally agree.
are more cut out for like a W-2 job. And to be honest, it's probably safer in the long run. You probably make more money doing that than most entrepreneurs.
True.
But and I know you guys.
But you'll never make a large amount.
No, but the specific thing that I talk about,
at whatever their structure
yeah, but
is.
here's the thing. Here's my main point on this, because I totally agree, is don't run your fucking mouth about all the freedom and stuff you want if you're not willing to go out and do it. And then you know what I'm saying? Like, don't run your mouth that you want this, but you're not willing to work for it. And then you want security, because you're literally trading your life and your time for security.
Yeah, you're going to have freedom for 10 years.
And myself, the only fucking job I had was when I told my dad to fuck off. And I worked at a restaurant for 3 days and hated my life, service industry. I was like, fuck this, because I knew a buddy that was there. And I was like, fuck this. I'd rather go dig ditches.
Dude, you and I got some similar stories.
And I was like, dude, I would rather fucking dig ditches. Like, I would just, my mindset though is like, but I'm an anti-authority guy. Like, if you look back, because even in high school or whatever, it's like we didn't want to be told what to do. I'd rather live my own life and make all these fucking mistakes than ever fucking have to clock in for somebody else.
I think entrepreneurship is the most punk rock path you can do, man.
1,000%.
And for me, it's like I didn't really have a choice, man. I'm like, I'm not really a good employee. I mean, I am.
We're horrible employees, bro.
But you know what really fucking pissed me off about the military was it wasn't doing the shit. Like, doing the job is cool when the job is good. It's doing the stupid shit in an inefficient way.
That's when I got in all the trouble.
Same rocks and all the shit. You're like, why the fuck?
Hey, Hancock,
where's
your cover on
Article 15?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and they don't have a reason
buddies
for
get
it. They're just
NJPs
like,
and shit?
oh, because I said so. I'm like, dude,
because
fuck you.
Dude, I got to the point where I analyzed it. I was like, this motherfucker was just born before me and enlisted before me, and he fucking yells at me. He's a total pencil dick pussy.
And you know what? Those same fucking faggots are now the ones asking me for money.
Of course they are now. Absolutely.
Now they're the ones asking me for money, and I'm like, huh.
I know.
Motherfucking
but that's what pushes people out of the military. That's what pushed our whole generation. I think a lot of the good leadership out of the military, because they got papered up.
It's all the good guys that got out because they wanted more.
But not good leaders, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, everybody thinks like, oh, military leadership. But I think it's the opposite, man, because you don't learn good leadership in the military unless you actually go out of your way to try to, because you just throw them in fucking jail if they don't do what you say.
Yep.
That's not a leader.
No, it's told.
It's a dictator.
Yeah, it's a dictator.
It's very different.
Yeah,
you know?
actually.
Yeah.
Fuck, I never really
totally
thought about
different.
it like that.
Yeah.
So
you remember that scene in We Were Soldiers where you had like the 2 leaders, one's like fucking yelling at his guys and shit, the other dude's like checking his guy's boots? If you haven't watched it, go watch that movie again. There's a scene right before they go to war, and I was like, that's a good like black and white example of like good leadership versus bad leadership.
Most of what I learned about leadership in the military is what not to do.
Every time.
Sure. And that's a big part of the reason I got out. But yeah, I think we can all agree. It's like, dude, this path is not for everyone. I don't recommend it to most people. I think most people are going to be much happier and more successful taking a W-2 job, doing a normal path. That's just not an option for me, and I think you guys probably feel the same way, man. Because I just can't fucking do that. I would rather live and die by my own hand than fucking do anything else.
Yep.
Like, I'm fine with delegation, but like leadership, and like one of the biggest things I learned, especially E6, E7 promotable, is like you're the first one there and you're the last one out, but also never make them do anything that you wouldn't do. Right? I'm the same guy picking up brass. I'm the same guy running EIB and doing 12-mile road marches, like volunteering for all the schools. Like, I had to be an example, right? I had to be faster than my guys. I had to shoot better than my guys. I had to be stronger than my guys. Like, I had to do all this, because if not, then like, why are you not going to look up to your leader? If you're better than your leader in every way, they're not going to look up to you.
1,000%.
Right? So I had to keep up with my best guy.
To a certain degree, though, I think,
To a
you know
degree.
what I mean? There's always going to be some faster guys and stuff
For
like
sure.
that, too.
You know,
But-
but just being fair.
Yeah, and that has
Be
carryover.
fair.
Like,
Understanding your weak points, too, and being honest with, like, fuck, okay, Ryan,
Acknowledge it.
you're the strongest fucking dude. You're going to carry the 240 and the fucking extra ammo. It's like, you know, you got to, as a leader, I think it's important to rely on your strengths and give people the ability
Well,
to
that's
do
why I
that.
didn't learn much about leadership in the SEAL teams. I was mainly a 60 gunner. It was like,
No,
just carry that
60
shit
back
as
in
a-
your day. I mean, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's obsolete
You're
now.
60?
Fuck, dude.
Damn, man.
know,
Showing
dude.
your age here.
I know, right?
Yeah,
God
no,
damn.
I never got to touch a 60. So.
Me either. I never even seen one.
No,
Really?
me neither.
No.
No.
Oh, shit.
No, at the Salvation Army on the wall.
Well, fuck you guys. All right, let's get back to your story.
So how much trouble did you get into before you're like, fuck it, I got to go to the military?
It's I have a funny story. It's fucking funny. It's funny because I think there's so many people that probably could have been in the similar situation. And so at 17, I had 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors pending because I fucking went to a party and some dude, like I tell the story and I look back now because I've told it so many times. I'm like, it sounds fucking dumb. You know what I mean? Like, but every
all
fucking party,
dumb.
they're all dumb.
Yeah.
And I go to a party, and this is the second time I'm getting in trouble. I'll tell you, the first time I didn't get arrested or anything, but we had a big brawl in the front of my parents' house because I was threatening somebody that was dating my ex-girlfriend at the time, and I was like, meet me at the park, I'll beat your ass.
Isn't it funny the things that seem so important when you're
I was like, I'll fuck you up. You don't date her. I know you. You're supposed to be my
hormones.
friend. Yeah, it's total hormones, dude. And anyways, he brought his older sister's friends, which were like, 19, 20 at the time, all fucking wild punk rock, emo guys. And they brought brass knuckles and started tuning us up and shit and fighting us. And I thought I was going to fight this guy, but they jumped us. So that was the first scenario. That didn't get me in, legal trouble. But that was, where my parents were kind of like, fuck, this kid's getting out of line. So actually that scenario, which I want to touch on because you want to talk about shit I've never talked about probably. That fight broke out at the park because I was supposed to meet him there. The park's only fucking 10 houses down from my house. So what did we do? We were getting our asses kicked. We all fleed back to our house. And some of the other dudes had older brothers. They're fucking calling their older brothers. Like, what the fuck? You know how it is. And so we go back to my house and I'm like, guys, come in. Let's come in. Let's retreat. We're getting our asses handed to us.
But you went
They
back to
fucking move. I go
your
back to
fob.
my parents. Yeah,
Your
my
fob.
fob. And my dad comes from a smaller town in Kansas. And so he grows up, fighting and stuff, normal, but very old school. He duked it out and then it was over. Yeah, yeah.
Put up your dukes.
Yeah, he wrestled too. I had a fucking scholarship in wrestling and in baseball, so he's an athletic guy. And anyways, he thinks he's going to tell these guys to leave. And I said, Dad, don't go outside. They're probably drunk and crazy. It's not the same conversation here. He's like, oh, I'm going to go tell these young guys to leave. Well, they fucking jumped him too. They smoked him in the head and hit him with brass knuckles and busted his head and hit my head. My mom's fucking screaming. It was
dude.
bad,
Is it the
bro.
same dudes from the second fight?
It was the fight. Yeah, they followed us down. We
Yeah.
ran to my house.
And he
Dudes
took it
get in their
home,
car
and
and
then they
go right back to the
your
fob,
dad
bro.
cleaned in the front yard.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
If you want to take the 300-foot gaze, that's what happened.
100%, absolutely.
and I
I
would've
brought
felt-
the enemy right there, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Don't go outside. You got to call the cops or some shit. We're getting our asses handed out there."
Call for fire,
And he's like,
dude.
in his mind, though,
I can handle this. Leave it
he's
to
like,
Beaver.
"Oh yeah, exactly. I'm gonna tell these boys to fuck off, and I
Yeah.
get it. I've been down this road. No, that's
Nope.
not those kind of guys.
Yeah.
This was not those kind of guys. So they just did it, and we all were fighting still. It's not like we watched him get his ass whooped. We were all jumping into this fight again in front of my house, which I brought all that shitstorm back to my conservative fucking parents' house, and they weren't happy. And my dad was fucking pissed, about that.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Right, 100%. I look back, I feel really bad about it. It is what it is. I got hit in the head with brass knuckles too. Anyways, that was one scenario. But within a couple months after that, I went to this party. And I go to this party, and we're just there. It's a house party, right? It's over close to the college, the small college in Edmond. And you're talking to people. You're fucking drinking and shit. And then I go into the kitchen, and I'm with one of my buddies, sitting across the table. And then another guy comes up. I think it's the guy that's leasing the house, one of the older guys. And when I'm 17, 21's older, right?
big-
You're in
it's big,
college.
yeah.
I'm a senior.
It's a big difference
It's a
when
big
you're
difference.
17, yeah.
It is. And not big, but just older. And he's like, did you talk to my sister? And I was like, I don't know, bro. I'm at a fucking party. I literally
yet, where's
looked
she
at
at?
him I thought he was kind of joking with me. Did you fuck with a girl in a tie-dye shirt? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. He's like, dude, let's talk outside. It's loud in here. Fucking party's loud. I look at my buddy and I'm like, come with me, dude. I'm not an idiot. Come with me. we'll sort this out if we have to sort this out. We go out there, and he's like, did you call my sister ugly? I said, I don't know who your sister is. By about the fucking second word, he smoked me right in the face, just punched me in the fucking eye. And my buddy it starts like scrapping with his friend that was out there already. I scrap with him. We get away. Nothing else happens. We jump the fence, leave. But we're fucking pissed. Like, we're going to come back for revenge. You know how it is when you're 17, full of piss and vinegar. Like, the limit that you take things to, you don't care. Like, at that point. Or at least that's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, 100%.
You don't have enough experience with consequences yet.
No. No. And enough to control your anger, right? Yeah. So we go and we get all the tire irons out of the car, out of the truck, my buddy's Chevy. And we come back, and they see us, like, coming back to the house, just me and him. And then one of the other guys at the party is like, hey, man, I don't know what happened. Like, he's holding his arm out the door, and I smack his arm with the tire iron, and then I fucking start busting out the windows in the front of this lease house he's got, and then I start smacking windows off cars or mirrors off cars. My other buddy's doing the same shit. Like, we're just terrorizing this fucking place. Other people in the party don't really even know what the fuck these psycho guys are doing because they don't know we got our asses jumped in the back.
Everything is so segregated.
Yeah, you know how parties are. It's really loud. You don't even know why.
You got the living room crew. You got the bathroom crew.
Always.
You got the bedroom crew.
Yes.
And you got the backyard crew.
100%. Yeah. Exactly. And so we do all that shit, and we're still fucking pissed. And so we leave. We storm off in the truck. We go get some of the upperclassmen that just graduated the year before. And the type of guys that I was with, man, these are all like auto body and collision guys, motorheads, look like us, like our people. Like, dude, we were always, you know, yeah, exactly. We were freaking doing our thing, working on our cars, fighting and drinking and doing our thing.
Strong
it was fun.
hands.
Yeah. And we grab about 5 or 6 of those guys. They were at In-N-Out, or not In-N-Out, IHOP, eating. And so we go back.
Up.
But what we didn't know is when we left, they called the cops because we busted all the shit out.
Why would you not think that?
Because you're dumbass 17, dude. And we go and leave, but we didn't know the cops just left. They took reports. They wrote down everything that's there. And we knew other dudes at the party, right? But they didn't say nothing. Anyways, they're around the corner. Like, they're leaving, I'm sure. We go back, and these dudes are like, they're egging it on, right? Like, they're all in, too. They're like, fuck yeah, they picked on you. You know, you're our underclassman. We're going to go fuck them up. The dude in front of me, we walk back to the house. The dude in front of me is an Indian guy, and he was always notorious for being wild and drunk. He's a fucking Indian. Like, I live in Oklahoma, bro.
Firewater, baby.
Long ass hair, just wild, dude. Yeah. And
last name Rainwater.
He fucking the guy. You see him close the door because they kind of see we're coming, or us pull up, and then he goes boom and just fucking kicks in the door. And I'm like second man in the door. And he's like, opens the door. Literally, like this is before I was ever in the military. Literally opens the door. He's like, and then you're like, say where you're at. He goes, is this the fucking guy that did it? And then we have like 6 fucking people behind him, all ready to fight.
He's leading the war party. Dude.
Yeah, he's leading the war party. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, boom. And I stroke him over the head with a tire iron. And I immediately, heads bleed real well. So immediately he's like, woof. And that's about the second that I was like, oh, fuck.
I fucked up.
I fucking hope this guy doesn't die now, right? Like, I smoked him over the head. He's bleeding. He didn't get unconscious, but he kind of falls on me. He, like, grabs me, kind of falls on me, like, wrestling me. He's going to wrestle me. And so we scrap around and roll around, and then I throw him off me. I get back up to turn around to get out the door, and they're like, get the fuck on the ground. The cops are right in our face. And I was like, that fast, because somebody else already called the cops after he busted the door in.
Oh, God, man.
So I get booked, 17 years old. I got the assault with a deadly weapon. I got burglary 1 for just walking into the property, not stealing anything, just walking into the property. And fortunately, the guy didn't end up fucking getting injured that bad, right? Just a good old crank over the head.
That's good.
Yeah, it could have been horrible.
Dude, you could have killed him. You could have got manslaughter and murder.
Get this. I go back to high school, right? Because I'm still in it's school season. I go back after I get out of jail. My dad comes, picks me up from fucking county, all this shit. And the school rumors went around, right? There's a lot of people from our school at that party. And
sky's the limit with those.
They thought they're like, dude, the guy died. I remember being in class being like, the cops are going to come in any day, and I'm just going to go straight to prison for the rest of my life. And I was like, dude, that's scared shitless. And anyways, that's what happened. I ended up getting those charges completely expunged. But
so he didn't press charges?
He didn't press charges, and I didn't get convicted.
That's kind of a G move for a douchebag.
Totally. And but the other guys we all went to fucking jail. But then, anyways, I I was like, I wanted to join the military. Like I told you, I grew up paintballing, making guns and sticks and shit, and this was going to fuck up my opportunity. Like my life was going down the drain at this point, and my parents were like, you are a total fuck up. My mom's brother, he's been in prison multiple times, so he was the black sheep right before. He was the motorcycle rider, fucking, been in prison, and my parents were like, don't ever be like him for my entire life. And here I am, my mom's like seeing like this is going to happen to my son. What the hell did we do wrong? Yeah. And they're like, we'll pay for your college. You have to go to this Christian college. So I went to Oklahoma Christian for a semester.
You're like, are you kidding
me?
And I'm like, I'm not meant for a Christian college right now.
Yes.
You were meant for the military.
Yes. And so I started talking to recruiters. Fortunately, in the like on my weekends and stuff, I was still working with some of my dad's guys, and I was doing construction. I've been like doing that since I was 13. My dad would have the guys pick me up on the weekends and over the summer. And so I was working with him, and one of the dudes was just this old school freaking farm boy white guy, and he was like, dude, you should join the Marines. I was like, well, you weren't in the Marines. How do you know? He's like, my dad and my uncle were. I tried, but I have a plate in my jaw from bull riding that I couldn't have joined in the 80s. And I was like, all right, I'll look into it. I always wanted to be in the Army, by the way. That was my thought when I was a kid. I was like, I want to go to the Army. I want to go Ranger.
You would have had a bigger budget and less Davis.
I know, right? Looking back. I was like, I'm going to fucking jump out of planes. That was my idea. And maybe because of John Rambo, like Green Beret style shit.
Yeah.
There's also a multitude of options, right? Like, I mean, we've talked about this numerous times on the podcast, but like, if you go into the Navy and you want to go special operations,
it's pretty limited in the Navy. Yeah,
you got three, right? You got team dudes, you got SWIC, and you got EOD. Other than that,
you're on a ship somewhere.
You're fucked, right? Yeah. In the Marine Corps, you got to suck a whole lot of dick in order to get to that point, in order to go to MARSOC or fucking, 100%. Be a pig or hog or anything like that. In the Army, you can get a Bat Boy contract, Ranger Bat. If you don't, then you go to 82nd, which doesn't suck that bad. And even within 82nd, then you can go to a recce platoon. But then you can still go to SF. Then you can go to CAG. You can always go back to battalion. Like,
there's so many pipelines.
There's a multitude of options.
Yeah, so many pipelines.
And a budget.
Yeah, right? And there's money behind it, for sure.
Yeah, like, because, like, to the poor Marines, like, you're relinquished by how much money these faggots spend.
I know, shit, 100%.
You're like, well, they only left us $1 million this year. I guess you guys are still rocking fucking M16s.
Yeah.
Dude, and it's like 2010.
No, straight up, that's exactly what we had.
Yeah.
I will say, though, man, like, my experiences with the Marine recon and forest recon guys, they might not have a budget, but those fuckers are locked on,
bro.
Dude.
They're hyper professional.
The Marine Corps in general like breeds a really hardcore, like harnessed environment like that.
Out of like, I never got to work with CAG or anything, but out of all the special forces that we did like experience and work with, the recon and forest recon guys were like by far and away like way better than the other guys.
Hell yeah,
like significantly better.
Yeah.
So I end up getting a recruiter. Recruiter's he's down. Like this is 2000. I graduated 2005, so this is 2000 or end of 2005. And I'm in school, in college, because summer broke off. It was like the end of the year when that was happening. And he's like, I had an attorney. I sold my truck. I had a truck. I had to sell my truck and pay for the attorney. So my parents were making me fucking foot the bill a little bit, right? They still had help.
Fair.
And I was like, okay. And so I go. The attorney goes with my recruiter. The recruiter would go like, we're going to go talk to the judge. We'll go and we'll see what we can do. And I was like, sick. So I sign up, do all the things. They go to the courthouse, and the courthouse is like, 2006. George Bush is fucking doing the whole push. What is ever that's called? The push they were doing. So anybody and everybody, as long as they could get a waiver.
Triangle.
Yeah. And so that's exactly where I went. And I was like, all right, I'm doing it. So that's what I did. And then I went to the Marine Corps boot camp in 2006. And when honestly, the Marine Corps, I tell people this, I'm like, that's exactly what I needed, because I felt like a criminal in society. I felt like a bad kid, but I wasn't like a bad kid too. And I want to touch on this. This is huge because this helped me a lot, because my parents never had these type of experiences. So in their mind, it's like, this is the worst. This is horrible, right?
Right.
And you got to be in the time. And they're like, this is it. Like, this is horrible. And it was stupid decisions.
It's almost like Marine Corps labor camp.
Yeah, no. I'm not talking about Marine Corps. I'm talking about my fucking charges. My charges and all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like with a situation that happened in high school was really bad.
Okay.
And so I was dating a girl at the time in high school, and this was going on. And her dad was just a good old boy, good old country guy. And I remember him saying, he's like, you're not a bad kid. You just made dumb fucking decisions. And because everybody around me at the time, my parents and everybody, I felt like I was a bad kid. because I wasn't
heard that a
stealing
lot,
from
too.
people, wasn't doing drugs, like I wasn't doing bad shit. I was just dumb, you know. I was good. Like I would help a lady across the street. I would
Right.
do all the things, hold the door. I was raised right with all the parameters when it comes to morality.
Yeah.
But I was making stupid decisions, and so if I would have gone the other route, which they were looking at before I joined the Marine Corps, was juvie for 6 months. I was gonna, because I was tried as a youthful offender at 17. So I was going to go down that route, which I was going to get into more fights and more shit, and who knows where it would
And
go.
then you're pigeonholed where you live.
100%.
Like, what the fuck are you
What
gonna
the fuck
do?
are you going to do with your life?
Nothing.
Exactly. And
Dude.
so the Marine Corps, honestly, was the best thing ever because I didn't feel like the bad guy. I was like, oh, you guys did this too? Oh, we all do this? Oh, we can get in, like,
Every one of them.
It was like welcoming, you know? I was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. And it's like harnessed, and I'm like, I needed that, you know?
Yeah, it's a good holding pen for those types of personalities, man. I think because each branch has its own specific type of character and personality. I don't think I would have done well in the Marines. I don't know. My personality doesn't mesh with that.
Well, you wouldn't have done it well if you failed out of NSW.
I wouldn't have done well in the regular Navy either. So
Yeah.
You would have done well with
Yeah.
anything
Well,
except
that's
for
where
like
I
the big
struggled
boy
in.
world.
Yeah, once I got in, I still struggled in there because I think the reason that you're saying that
I
is
did
because
too.
of authority, right?
Yeah,
Because of what we
exactly.
just talked about a minute ago.
Yeah,
Right,
so
about
how-
getting in trouble in garrison versus
yeah.
deployments.
Straight
right?
up. I wanted to
Because
play the game.
I was the last E4 pinned ever, dude. I had 4 Article 15s before my first deployment to Ramadi in 06.
Damn.
For like driving a motorcycle unlicensed and drunk, and then
Yeah.
like getting in a fight, and then fucking getting popped for weed and like all this shit. But as soon as I was deployed, I'm like, cowabunga, baby.
Yeah.
You know, and
Game
then I
on.
turned on, and then it was a 15-month pump in Ramadi, and then that's when all my leadership was like, okay, like this kid's fucking, like he's dialed.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and then got back to garrison, got back in more trouble. And then they're like, all right, let's give this
Keep him
little
deployed.
back in another deployment.
Yeah. keep
Yeah,
deployed.
it was the same thing, dude. Like your story is so similar to mine.
I think it's really common in a lot of the guys that I met too.
So how did you handle that? Like being highly aggressive. How did you handle meshing with the leadership and like not getting in trouble, but also pushing the limits? And like, what did that look like for you with the leadership there?
At that time, you know, there was still. I was fortunate that a lot of the guys that I was with were kind of good old boys too. So it was kind of harnessed a bit. I mean, like they're like, I remember specifically there was a time in Iraq that one of my corporals was like just yapping at me, and this is a guy I didn't respect, like somebody that was just. I thought he was a pussy, right? You're like, this guy's
Little
a
fat
fucking
fuck.
pussy. Like, fuck
Yeah.
you. Don't fucking tell me what to do. And he was like, you got to do this, Hancock, because I'm a fucking. You don't do that. And I was like, fuck you, bro. I said, let's take it outside. I'll beat your fucking ass, like just like that, right out of the gates. And he was like, oh, I'm fucking telling staff sergeant. I was like, go fucking do it,
What a
bitch.
weenie,
Like you
dude.
fucking pussy. He goes, staff sergeant's good old boy. He's all right. He's like, Hancock, you're on fucking shit duty tonight. Like, don't fucking do that. You know, you can't do that, man. He's coming over here crying to me. It is what it is, but go do. You got to do this. Like that was the worst that happened to me. So. I did. I went and burnt shit like Jarhead, you know, and outside.
Oh yeah,
pulling out the barrels.
JP8 baby.
They JP8 and a
Until it
fucking
turns
stick.
to little
Charcoal
corn-
coals.
Yeah, charcoal coals.
Yeah.
Smoking cigarettes and burning shit.
It just shooting the shit with every
Pissed.
other
Like,
fucking
that motherfucker
retard.
comes out here, I'm going to beat his ass anyway.
Yep.
Just burning shit in a flight suit.
Yep. But the thing is, that kind of taught you a better way to approach problems or feelings.
Yes.
Right? You're like, okay. And then not to mention, like, you have your whole platoon or your squad or your team kind of coach, teach, mentor, even though, like, you're all a bunch of degenerates. But, like, you understand now this isn't maybe the most appropriate way to go about this.
100%.
And also pain versus reward. You're like, maybe I shouldn't say this and maybe I won't do this.
Yeah. 100%.
And yeah, dude, it kind of grooms you and it bleeds that young bullshit out of you.
It does. And, you know, it's one of those deals. Like, I had massive respect for the guys that earned the respect. Like, I
Yeah.
really did. Well, a good leader, like, would have been like, hey, man, listen, like, let's do this and this. And I'm like, okay, I would have listened. I listened to good leadership all the time. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, I was locked down when it came to that shit. You want to get shit done? I'll do it. Let's do
Raj.
it.
Yeah.
But don't give orders just because you want to boss somebody around
Yep.
like a fucking
dude,
Walmart
same
manager.
way.
You know what I'm saying? That's the reason I got out. I had too much bureaucracy. I did 4 years and I was out. And I was like, because like after deployments, like you said, this wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, quick little story about that decision on me getting out, and then also like the way that like we grew up in the military is I was E6, even E7 promotable. I had fucking every school under my belt, And one of my guys, I was in recce, and he had left his gun at the fucking range. And so I was smoking his fucking balls out front. Smoking his balls, right? And I had a fucking first sergeant come up to me and be like, "What the fuck are you doing, sir?" I'm like, "Oh, hey, first sergeant. Well, my soldier decided to leave his weapon at a range." He's like, "Yeah? And you want to fucking smoke him without doing this?" He's like, "How about you get the fuck down?" NCOs don't do that to NCOs.
No.
And I'm like, "Excuse you?" Because I only reported to the battalion commander.
Yeah.
As battalion sniper section leader, I only reported to the battalion commander. And the battalion commander came from RRC, Ranger Reconnaissance Company. And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Excuse me, did I fucking stutter?" And so, not like this has anything to do with it, but it kind of does. But a black E8 from engineering battalion of like a sister battalion, right? Like, you have no business in my business. And also, like, I'm wearing my PC, whereas everyone else wore like their berets. But like on my PC, if you're battalion sniper section leader, it says sniper above your rank. And he's like, "Did I stutter? Get the fuck down." So then he smoked me for an hour with my private, with my subordinate in front of me. And after that, I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And I went to my head shed.
That's poor leadership.
And they nailed him. I don't really know what happened because it's outside my pay grade. But it's shit like that.
100%.
And I'm like, I'm fucking done. And that was in 2013.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fucking done.
Yeah. Well, it might be a good segue, too, because it sounds like you had an experience of like good leadership and bad leadership. And it's been surprising to me how much of leadership comes down to just communication and being able to visualize like how somebody else sees the perspective, their perspective, their view on the same problem, and then being able to align with them. And then, so on that, so you got out of the military, you've built significant stuff, but you've also had a lot of employees. Yeah. And like, how did you take those? This isn't a leadership podcast, but I think this is just like a general like business building, and you can't. But
it's super informative.
Yeah, you can't build a business without leadership. And I remember a small segue. A good friend of mine died in a helicopter crash later, but he was always a mentor of mine. He was 10 years younger than me. He was always like way ahead of me in business. And I was telling him my idea, like I want to build this big business, but I didn't want to have employees. I didn't want to like lead any people. I just want to do my own thing, like outsource shit. He told me, he's like, "Man, you're never going to build the company you want to build unless you get better at being a leader. You're going to have to be a leader to do this." I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. Turns out a couple years later, dude, he was fucking completely right. Like you cannot build anything of significance without a team, and you cannot build a team without being a functionally good leader. And I was not a good leader. I had no leadership skills at all, so I had to fucking build that whole thing. And I realized through that process, fuck man, communication is such a key component of that. And you've had a lot of employees in different walks of life, and like how did you take those lessons learned from the good and the bad of military leadership, and like how did that help or hurt you when you get into the civilian world?
I knew what I didn't want to do, right? Like you know, and how I didn't want to be treated, and there's some guys that I feel like, and I feel like I was naturally that way, like a decent leader as far as being able to communicate and stuff like that. But there was a time period where I felt the same way. Like I just kept hitting a brick wall with business and employees and shit. And so I started to learn more, right? That's about when Jocko's podcast came out, Extreme Ownership came out. When I read Extreme Ownership, it helped me. Yeah. That changed my life at that point because I wasn't probably like you. I wasn't listening to anybody else, but I was like, oh, this guy's been, he's seen some shit. I'll listen to this book. But I wasn't about to like listen to some business book at the time. Yeah. I was like, I'll listen to this. And then I was like, oh, fuck, like everything's my fault, like my problem. Then I can at least solve it now. But I never, because I grew up, dude, construction. I don't know if you guys have ever been in construction field or whatnot, but it's a very, everybody's pointing a finger. Like if you're not, I joke around, tell people it's like it's a bitch fest. Someone else. It's very similar to the military in some aspects, right? Like at least in the grunts, it's we could do our job if the HVAC guys wasn't in the way, or we could have done this if this guy would have framed the wall right. It's always like you got to have something to bitch about. Well, if the fucking weather was better, whoever's in office, like they're always bitching. Like you don't have anything else to talk about, so that's what you talk about. It's like a diner of old people,
So true.
And so it's like a very pessimistic swirl of crap. And I was like, this is not fucking right. And so once I read read that book, it changed my perspectives and really also helped me wipe the fog off of my lens and see all of these other business owners, or when that redneck ass dude that was doing the plumbing came in and bitched about it all the time and stuff. Is like, dude, you're the fucking problem. This is all happening because of you. It's not because you had to drive across town and get the fucking egg plumbing, you know?
Isn't it crazy? Like, once you see something, you're like, oh, fucking there it is.
Yeah.
And you can see it for 50 years, and then you don't recognize it. But
But
then
what's
once you
even
see
crazier
it,
is when you're a fucking greenhorn on some of these projects. Like, you look up to these guys, and you're like, yeah. And you're just kind of like the yes man to them, like shifting blame or whatever. But after our experiences, and then like kind of at that precipice, you look down, you're like, the guy was actually a fucking moron.
Exactly,
and he just
dude.
kept on shifting blame to everything.
But you're right.
and
I did the
took
same
no
thing
ownership.
before. Before I was in the military, I was like, yeah, fuck those guys. The painters are in the way. We can't work today.
Yeah,
These guys,
but then
dirt
it makes
needs
you
to be-
just look back and you're like, dude, I was fucking lied to my whole childhood.
my whole 100%.
Yeah, and you're like,
100%.
okay, now I get it.
Yeah. Even growing up, working for my dad and after the military too, like that's he was never in the military or anything, and he himself was the same way. They were always complaining about something else. It's crazy.
Man.
It becomes a culture. It's a whole culture.
It is,
It's a whole
as opposed
thing.
to offering solutions.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
All right, so now tell us about, actually, I mean, we can skip about the whole swearing in, but tell us about your experience about, actually, no, in the
Marine
military.
Corps,
Yeah, in the Marine Corps, and then kind of going in and the process of your career from there.
Sure. So 2006, I go in after that shit, and I'm like, sick. This is gonna be it. At the time, there was like 70 plus people per platoon in the Marine Corps boot camp, and I went to MCRD. It's where I fell in love with San Diego. I was out here, and I went to SOI, School of Infantry at Pendleton, and so I got Liberty on the weekends there, and I was like, this is so sick. Run down to PB, get
hard to
fucked
beat,
up.
man.
I had a fake ID. This is back when IDs were just like laminated.
Yeah,
And one of
that's
my
right.
buddies was a good friend of mine. He's like 8 years older than me, but we're both bald. We both looked a lot alike, and so I took his ID. I'd be able to drink out
Perfect.
here and shit. It was fucking perfect. Before you could scan them or anything,
Yeah.
And so yeah. I mean, boot camp was wild. This is what I was talking to another drill instructor that actually got out of the military. He was in MARSOC too. Randall Parks, and
Oh, yeah.
he's legit. And I was like, people don't understand the boot camp or any of the pipelines at that time were quite a bit different than they are now, because you knew exactly where you were going after you got out. And the drill instructors that were coming back were the ones that I had Purple Hearts. They were in Fallujah. They were freaking, like, my senior drill instructor was still going back to Camp Pendleton for some of the trials that his platoon or his battalion was a part of for the Haditha massacre.
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean? Wow. So like that was my senior drill instructor. So these guys fucking smashed us.
Yeah.
Like I remember I still
It was a brutal time to go through.
my one of my drill instructors was this fucking like 6'5" black dude with a saw gun tattoo on his forearm. And I just remember being like, 18 years old, like, oh my God, I'm not fucking talking shit at all, And then
He's probably the best one to call cadence.
yeah, oh dude, he was awesome at Cadence, straight up.
It was always the black guys.
Crushed it.
Dude,
Yep.
they got that rhythm.
Yeah.
They do.
I can step and step.
Yeah, and then I had a fucking
that out.
short. Then I had a short, like psycho, like Asian guy drill instructor, which I've connected with now and
No
has
shit.
actually worked with him since then. Yeah, but
that's cool.
he was the kill hat, is what they call him in the Marine Corps, like the guy that's just meant to fucking cause massive chaos in boot camp.
Yeah.
And so that was fun. That was super fun. There were people. Boot camp was wild, though. I mean, IP scissors, like to clean your uniform, like to trim off the little
Little
scissors,
hairs.
Yeah, some dude got shanked with those.
What?
Oh, dude, yeah, they were getting in fights. We'd get in platoon fights sometimes in the H. So the barracks are shaped like an H, like from looking down, like right. And there's 3 floors up, right here at MCRD. And so
Can you
sometimes
see like floors up?
no, you're looking out the bay windows. You can see across to the other side because it's an H shape, right? You can
Yeah.
see through the other side. And then it would met in the middle of the H part. The middle of the H is where the bathrooms and the heads are.
Oh, okay.
And so what would happen is, drill instructors, if it's you had a platoon and I had a platoon, I'm talking shit to your platoon, I'm fucking with your guys, we're better than you. And so they are instilling that.
They're
and
instilling
so,
rivalry.
100%.
Which is competitiveness.
competitive rivalry.
But then it turns into
and at
burn
night,
sticks.
they would be like, whoa, like
Yeah.
fights and shit. It was great, dude. It was great.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Getting shanked with little scissors.
Yeah, dude,
my
get
God.
this. So my first week, so Marine Corps boot camp's 13 weeks long. The first week's receiving, and then the next week is what they call Black Friday. It's your day you get introduced to your drill instructors. It's the day that they like
Off the
start.
bus?
No, you get off the bus, you go to receiving.
I was
Yeah,
going
so
to
you
say
gotta
we
receive
call
for a
it
week.
Shark Week.
Oh, really?
Well, we have two. It's like in processing, receiving, and then when you like go to your basic training.
Exactly. That's when we got our drill instructors that were going to be with us through the whole cycle.
Yeah.
Was Black Friday.
Okay.
And Black Friday, we were on the bottom of the H. We're in the barracks at the bottom floor. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen like MCRD or any of those military barracks, but all the windows like just open. It's very 1970s still. And so they just thrash you that whole day. Like they make you tear apart your beds, they make you empty your foot lockers, they fuck you up in every capacity. Their objective is just to shock and awe you, right?
Good fun boot camp stuff.
Yeah, we called it Shark Attack because
it's just
it ain't
trash.
fun.
They're spitting in your face, pushing you around.
Oh, God.
Anyways, we're carrying our foot lockers in and out of the fucking squad bay like asshats, whatever. And then there's this one fucking guy on the third floor. Everybody's getting thrashed because we're on first phase. And so our whole battalion is getting thrashed. This dude fucking jumps straight out of the window and tries to kill himself on the third floor, and he lands like 10 feet in front of me. And I remember my drill instructor just
high enough,
looking
bro.
at him. No, I did not kill him at all. He turns around, he sees him like this, looks up, he's like, I hope he fucking dies. And he looks at us, and I was like, oh, fuck, dude. We are fucked. It was insane. And he's like, get inside. So we went into the squad bay and, had to face the other way. They call the corpsman. Fucking dude gets, like, med-sept later.
Dude, that's like something out of a skit. Some dude just...
People try to, like, quit, but you can't, like, quit
Yeah.
boot camp. People don't understand that part.
Yeah.
So you weren't here for this, and I was telling this story, and I'll hyphenate it. But, like, to that point, like, basic training, you guys had Firewatch, right?
Yeah.
And so Firewatch, we had two guys that wanted to get out of basic, and this is before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And so I'm on Firewatch, and I go walk in, and it's these two dudes, like, sucking each other off.
Oh,
like,
my
in the
God.
bathroom. I
Were
was
they
like,
pretending to suck each other off? They're actually like
Like they were wanting to
no,
get caught?
No, like, he was literally, like, dick and mouth.
They're doing. They
And
couldn't
I'm
do
like-
they couldn't do like the block like
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get out of here.
What the
like a
fuck?
magician.
So I go tell my drill sergeant, who I ended up like staying with and like partying with in Atlanta, and either way I went and told him, and I was like, "Hey, drill sergeant, these two dudes sucked each other's dicks in the bathroom."
And they won't let me in.
I'm trying to take a
But he
I'm trying to get a
goes
bunk in
in.
here.
He goes in, he's like, "Stop sucking each other off, faggots, go back to bed," and like goes back out. So now these two straight dudes that like try to do this to get kicked out of the military are no longer like. Now you just sucked another dude's dick for no reason.
For nothing.
And went in. But then also, like, there was a pillow party that we took from, where was it? Where the Corporal Pyle.
You guys call the Navy gay, dang.
No,
bro.
No,
what was
shit.
the
Pillow
Corporal
party?
Pyle movie? where
Oh,
they-
yeah, Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket. So there was another one because we found out one of these weird guys, like, he was a fucking weirdo. Like, he would never shower. He stunk like shit. He was kind of like a fat body. And also we found out he was a Wiccan. And so they had a pillow party on him, and I did not participate in this, but like went over and just pillow partied the fuck out of him, dude, and like kids just screaming, and I'm like, oh my God, like where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
And then after the pillow party, they told the drill sergeant like he won't fucking shower, he stinks. Like he was making us fail at everything, which is corporal punishment. And so then we tied him up like in the bay, like full spread eagle, butt naked, like ropes on either end and his ankles. And we threw whatever that powder.
Comet?
Comet. We threw Comet on him and took like the used bathroom like toilet brushes and like,
washed his ass.
They were scrubbing him.
Hell yeah.
Good
Like,
chemical burns.
all the way
Yeah,
down.
fucking
And he's just like, no, like just screaming. Now I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And like one of the guys went in. Dude, they had one guy sitting there like trying to punch his ass. He's like, we need to get all that devil juice out of you on his ass. And like it wasn't obviously like getting much of a suction, but he's still like hitting him with the plunger on the front end. And then they took the toilet brush and like were like
Wait, he's
scrubbing
plunging his dick?
no, his ass. And then
He's
the guy
not
with the
plunging
toilet brush
brush
on the
in
front
front, dude.
is just like dragging it across his
Oh,
balls. And like
shit.
that's not like a soft toothbrush, dude. Like that's a
No.
hard toothbrush.
It sounds like some
And, like-
army version of 50 Shades of Gay.
No, it was, dude, it was so fucked up. Like,
That's
I
great.
I just remember watching this and like just because it's like, dude, this kid signed the wrong contract,
Yeah.
right? And like this is in 05. You
Yep.
know, like,
Yeah, what do you think he was doing?
well,
They don't fucking know. I mean, there's
he
guys that
didn't-
get in there and
I-
they don't know what they're doing.
No, so here's a better one. I was in processing at 30th AG, which is what you do at Fort Benning when you getting ready to like go into Fort Benning and go in the military. And I'm in there, and I just pick a bunk, and it's like a massive bay of just a bunch of bunks. And I go in there, and I take the top bunk, right? Because I didn't want to pick a fight between bottom bunk and top bunk. I'm just going to be the gray man. I'm going to go to the top bunk. No, I take that back. I'm sorry. I was bottom bunk. Because then there's this guy, and he's like, hey, I'm Mike. And I'm like, what's up, Mike? How you doing? He's like, oh, Mike's great. Like, talked about himself in third person. All right. So then he, like, tries, like, putting his foot up on the top bunk. There's a ladder right here. Tries putting his foot up on the top bunk. And I'm just, like, sitting there, like, trying to read a book. And I'm watching this guy, like, doing this. I'm like, you're right, dude? You know, there's a ladder right there. And he's like, oh, I've never taken a ladder. Never taken a ladder. So I can tell this guy is actually
it's like Rain Man, dude?
No, he is full-blown retarded.
He's retarded.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I asked him, like, hey, Mike, come here.
He's a recruiter.
I'm like,
all right.
Sign here, son.
Yeah.
What do you
Gotta
think
quote
you're
it.
doing? He's like, oh, I love paintball. I love paintball. I love paintball. Yeah, I play paintball all the time with my friends. I joined the Army to play paintball. And I'm like, oh, fuck no. Like, we are not playing paintball here. And so I literally, like, grabbed him by the ass cheeks and, like, put him up in his top bunk. I had to help him down off the top bunk in the morning in order to, like, go to, like, first formation. So we're, like, standing in the chow hall line, which is, like, a zigzag, like, switchback. And we're going through, and the drill sergeant walks by, and I'm like, hey, drill sergeant, may I ask you a question? And he's like, what the fuck you want, private? And I was like, I have an issue. He's like, oh, yeah, I can't wait to fucking hear this. And I was like, drill sergeant, I think we have somebody with mental, like, disability in our unit. And he's like, who? And I was like, it's Moore. He's 5 back. And he's like, Private Moore. He's like, hey, drill sergeant. And he's like, he looks at me, and then he, like, walks back to him. And, I mean, he's 5 back. Like, I can hear this conversation. And they all, like, next thing I know, there's 2 drill sergeants. It's like cops. 2 drill sergeants, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, yeah.
Blood in the water, dude.
Oh, yeah.
So
coming, man.
they're all talking to him, and they all look at each other and like, this is bad. And so they ended up, they're like, nope, you're fucking retarded. So they ended up putting him in the kitchen with all the black ladies at Fort Benning. And then either way, the drill sergeant came up to me later and was like, hey, thank you. Like, fucking thank you.
Yeah.
Because, like, this guy has no business, and also your recruiter needs to fucking die.
No shit.
That's
Like, that's
how you
so
know.
fucked up, dude. And, like,
That
I
is
got a
fucked
soft
up.
spot for, like, the mentally disabled.
Same.
Like, any recruiter that would ever fucking, like,
Let that go
condone
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
dude, you're messed up. You were absolutely messed up.
When
How'd
you're
that
in
motherfucker
any,
make MEPS?
right?
No shit, right?
When you're
Yeah,
in any,
take a look.
When you're in any training program, they're yelling at you like, all right, when they start to go quiet and treat you nicely, that's how you know you fucked up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm in real trouble now.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
shit.
funny, man.
So what was the Marine Corps like? As soon as you got in, you went, like, what did you retire kind of doing?
Yeah, dude. So
That way we can understand the pipeline.
So to rewind. So actually, my parents, with their wisdom at the time, after I was fucking up, convinced me to go reserve. My mom's like, you can always go reserve, then you can go active if
That's
you
a smart
want.
move, man.
And at the time, I was like, no, fuck that. I want to go, like, you know, hardcore. My mom's like, just look, basically, like, look. She didn't say this, but this is what she said. Look what the fuck you've decisions been making. Trust one of mine. And you want to go to college during that time, you can go active duty later. And I was like, okay, fuck it. So I enlisted and I went as reserve. And so when you get out of SOI, School of Infantry, you go back and rotate and check into your reserve battalion. And so that's what I did, but quickly got deployed to Iraq right after that with the whole unit. And so that was what I did. So when I went to Iraq, my MOS was an 0352, so I was a tow gunner, anti-tank assaultman. But when we went to Iraq, I was actually jump platoon. So we did personal security for a battalion commander and battalion sergeant major. So we worked with VIPs and all sorts of cool stuff like that.
Yeah, I was listening to that episode, or that part of the episode with Ritlin. It sounded cool, man. You guys,
Dude, honestly, I only know what my experiences were, right? But now looking back and having conversations with many of other Marines and seeing line companies that we were checking on all the time and stuff, I was like, that was a sick fucking experience for a short period of time. I mean, I'm like 19 years old. Totally. But you had to be squared away, which I was stoked about, right? And we got to do cool stuff. And you either get a battalion commander that, like, is behind the wire all the time, total pussy, or you get one that's, like, ready to go out of the wire every single day, good leader. And ours was a good leader. He was awesome. And we would go check all the guys. We'd check the line companies. We'd go check everything. So we were out all the time. Cool thing is we never had to pull like fire watch because we had to be on call for whenever he needed to move out. So I never had like late nights, except for the night that I was burning shit and got in trouble. But you got to be, everything had to be squared away. We were always shaved. Everything was clean. I wasn't out in some buttfuck Egypt fob where I could grow a beard or anything and get nasty. So we were always checking on people. We did some cool operations too. We got to work with Task Force 16. So we did some I think they were ODA guys. Looking back, they didn't tell us, but I was just in the briefing room. And so we did some night ops with special ops dudes, which I thought was super sick. We did. We went all the way from Haditha all the way down to Biop, Baghdad International Airport, and then we went to the Green Zone to drop off a Navy dock. And so we got to do some cool shit. Stayed in Ramadi one night just because of the leg that was on the main MSR. We stopped over, and that was wild. That was an Army base that we stayed at.
Do you remember which one?
It was a massive one. Yes, I believe so. It was big. Like, wow, dude. Okay,
I
have a photo.
So
you're gonna like this. Yeah, you know how like Al Assad, these big air bases, like it's totally different. A lot of Pogues there. Pogues person other than grunt in the Marine Corps, so it's non-grunts.
Dude,
like
Pogue. So thank you for bringing this up because I don't think that's ever been brought up on this podcast, and I don't think that the Navy boys like understand it. But like Pogue is quintessentially the worst thing that you can call anybody in the military if you're like Army or Marine Corps on the grunt side.
100%.
Because like Pogue is person other than grunt.
Yeah.
Which like, dude, I went my entire career without even saluting Pogue officers.
Fuck Pogues,
like,
man.
I wouldn't even do it. Straight up. I would literally just be like, oh, butterfly.
That's because everybody in the Navy is a Pogue except for the team guys,
exactly.
bro.
Yeah. Like, dude, you just hate them.
Yeah.
You fucking hate them.
Like, I'm on Camp Ramadi, bro. And we get there, and we're not very many Marines on this camp. It's an Army base. And we hear this music. And you know how like these big tents people are sleeping in, they put you in just temporarily. They have all these tents. I hear this music, and I go over by Chow, and I see this. No, there was a fucking like dance party in one of those things. Like I don't know, I don't want to.
I wasn't at that one yet.
No, it was literally like oh man,
it might have been after we liberated.
We're gonna get completely fried if I go into the culture of this party.
Is this with the Chai Boys in there?
No, this is literally like
that wouldn't have been allowed.
It's like all black soldiers.
It's just Pogues.
It's what?
All black soldiers. So it's like the motor pool.
Yeah.
And they're like
the motor pool. And supply and cooks.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
I'm not wrong. Not racist. Love. I have amazing fucking guys that are black.
Hey,
but the point is,
facts are facts.
Facts are facts. So then it is literally like
so
a rap
funny.
party, and I'm in there. They don't even have their weapons with them and shit. And so I have my fucking saw in my lap, and ammo's not in it because I'm on a fucking fob. But I remember having my buddy take a picture. I have this picture still. I'll have to fucking plug it. I'm like this with my machine gun. They're like all dancing behind me, and I'm the only one in like tan digis, and they're all in those ACU fucking moon suits they wear.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking, this is hilarious. It's wild.
I was like, what is this?
Oh my God. At that point, I was like, damn, I'm glad I didn't join the Army.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah,
But-
different cultures, man.
Yeah.
Definitely different
So I did that. I did a pump out to Morocco, Africa. Worked with the Moroccan Army. That was pretty cool. Joint task operation there, just for training. And then quickly after I got back from that in the Sahara Desert, I got out. So I did my 4 years and pumped out in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there like a deciding factor for you where like, hey, was it like fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore, or was there something like I want to go do this?
No, I was fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore because I had, like I said, I talked about having some good leadership, but I also had a lot of people I did not respect that were leaders. And in the reserves, I want to bring this up, that I think me coming from the construction background and having skills, like I was a savvy person. I could build shit. I could make decisions. I was on job sites since I was a kid. And then there's other people that were pretty crafty at things. My point is, you would see guys that would gain rank and then reserves. This motherfucker may be like a fucking desk clerk at McDonald's, but yet be a staff NCO or a freaking master sergeant every drill weekend who just pulls that fucking rank and lives off that clout. And so if you go get deployed with these guys, you can tell who's like, what's even crazier is like we had some dudes that are like lance corporals or corporals that like are fucking attorneys. You know what I'm saying? Like you got very formally educated. The reserves is a very weird mix of people.
I couldn't even fathom
because
that.
you have smart. It's a really good tool. Like my battalion commander, who ended up being a 3-star general, just retired out. He owned his own fucking law firm. And then he ended up stopped doing that, went full INI and active, and that's how he became a 3-star general.
No shit.
Yeah, and so, but you can get literally, my battalion commander could have also been a dental hygienist or some shit. You know what I mean? Like in the civilian world, like rotated out, he could have been a nurse's aide.
That's
and
wild,
so
man.
when that happens is you realize like this person is a complete piece of shit in the civilian world. You know, no tangible skills whatsoever.
Yeah.
You just joined the military before. You have rank, and your decision making could easily get our heads blown the fuck off every day.
Well, and that was one of the byproducts that I saw in 06, 07, 08, 09 is...
So when I was in, that's when I was deployed.
Even Afghanistan in like 11, 12, with the reserve components, like they don't have... like. It's not their life.
It's not full-time soldiers, not
right.
full-time Marine.
And so you find massive levels of complacency. But what's even bigger is you don't have the team camaraderie that you need when you're doing, well, hopefully National Guard or Reserves never did DAs. But, like, you don't have that understanding of reading body language with the team that you're with. And then also having, like, that faith and trust. Yeah. And, like, guess what? You don't have any faith in time to learn that shit now. And so you're getting the dentist and the lawyer and the mechanic and the fucking everything all put into one, and they're given a gun. Like, they're inept. Like, I always frowned upon, like, reserves and National Guards when I was deployed, and if we had to work with them, because I'm like, oh, no. Because, like... this is our life. This is all we give a fuck about, and it wasn't.
There's pros and cons to it, though. Like
there is as far as sustainability.
I feel like from the reserve side that I saw the difference because we relieved an active duty unit, you know, and the thing is, I think that the aspect that reserves bring, depending on the caliber of people that are in the reserve battalion, right, and the leadership. They bring an air of outside of the box thinking that the Marine Corps specifically is not good at. If that makes sense,
that'd be a good ad.
It is a good tool if you
agree.
have the right people. Like if you get all shitty civilian people, you know, then you're not in a good spot. But if you get some higher level people and you get some qualified people, you have out of the box thinking, not so much ingrained in just especially the Marine Corps. I won't speak for any other branch, I don't know. But usually in active duty units, it's you do this because the Marine Corps says you do this. It's very straight and narrow. Like you get your ass chewed out for not wearing your cover to your car from outside the PX. Like everybody's locking everybody on. Everybody wants to be a fucking hero, you know. And so when you get the reserve aspect of it to some degree, you do have some higher caliber people. Like I said, I've had engineers, freaking attorneys, people that are like graduate LSU grads that are like real people.
Also, I could only imagine being on a combat outpost for 12 months in a reserve like company, and you have all these different people with all these different skill sets. Like, fuck CBs.
Dude, you built your own shit. I built my own table.
Whatever. Like, everybody has everything.
You do. You really do.
You got judge and jury. You got your mechanic. You got your fucking carpenter. You got your drywaller.
That's what happens. Like if you're a platoon sergeant, you're like, oh yeah.
That's actually a massive benefit. Actually, that's
Williams. You're a mechanic. You know, hey you. What about you? That's how it works.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons.
You're taking everyone's like day trade and bringing it in.
You are.
Like you guys are your own fucking city.
It seems like that could add some pretty good depth.
Yeah, I agree.
Pros and cons. For sure.
All right, so let's. I think. Well, we could talk forever about the military stuff, but a lot of your story is the stuff that I've been personally really impressed about is what you've done after, right, and kind of like the way you've built yourself up, using that leverage. So what did that look like as you're getting out?
You guys said it a minute ago. What you said it a minute ago. You're like, when you get out, you want nothing to do with it. Yeah. Like I didn't have any Marine Corps tattoos while I was in the Marine Corps. Like I didn't want anything to do with it. There's a time period where you're like, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
And because later on you only remember the good times, right? But so I did. I wanted nothing to do with it. I got out. I went back to work for my dad. I was running equipment. That's when I was talking about being all pissed off in the skid steer and doing these things. And I didn't think I had any PTSD, and I could go on a whole conversation about this because I didn't, like, in my mind, right, as us warriors, you think of like, well, I didn't have to smoke any babies, right? I didn't have to, my buddy's head didn't get blown off next to me like my uncle's in Vietnam or some shit. And so you're like, I don't have any PTSD, but I had a high level of stress for a very high level, a long period of time. And so when I came back working with civilians in the construction field, I had the same era of attitude that I had when I was 17 kind of, and I was like, I get fucking pissed. Like I was like not having it. And so I struggled with that, and I struggled with not having such a fast-paced lifestyle. Even though you're being told what to do in the military and stuff like that, and like even though I was reserve, still coming back from deployment, I really struggled with having that adrenaline. Like, we got to do this. This is the reason. Because the severity and the consequences when you're in a combat zone are so much more, right? You lose your nods, or somebody doesn't do something, somebody fucking dies, right?
You got real problems.
Real problems. And so coming back, I struggled with acclimating back with people and having conversations. Like, my friend group fucking fell apart. I'm like, you guys didn't do shit. I thought life was passing me by when I was stuck in the military. I come back, I'm like, you fucking guys are losers. You're on the couch smoking weed and fucking playing video games still.
Yeah, some people never change, man.
Yeah. And so that was a huge component. I was just stressed out as far as like just high alert. And I it's funny because I saw it in some of the dudes I deployed with who got out too. They became cops. And then I would keep up with them because we kept up quite a bit with each other at first. And you'll be like, yeah, dude, I'm getting reprimanded for this and that, because they're fucking yanking people out like we were in Iraq, pulling them out of their cars, or fucking roughhousing people. Yeah, exactly, dude. And so I was like, I had the same kind of attitude. So I got into, this is before I met my wife, but right when I got out, I was doing the construction. I was drinking every night. I was partying every night. I was closing down the bars. I was smart enough to buy a house. I bought a house, so it was cool because I didn't have any expenses really. I had a roommate that was a pipeline welder, so we'd go fucking drink. Yeah. And it's the same roughnecks, like same in Oklahoma, any oil and gas dudes and an ex-military guy, like at the cowboy bar, you're getting fist fights. I also went up to Sankey's Rodeo School in Rose Hill, Kansas, because it's a rodeo school where you can learn how to ride bulls. So I fucking signed up to try to do that shit just for fun. I was like, I just didn't feel alive anymore, right?
You need that testosterone. I mean, it's called operator syndrome.
Dude, because like you said it a second ago, the consequences are so much worse. In the civilian world, it's like, people cry about their problems all the time, and you're like, shut the fuck up. Like, these are not real issues. You're just crying about stuff.
Yeah, well, people in the absence of real problems, people magnify their existing
where we're at in the world today.
And to your point, though, I mean, operator syndrome is definitely a real thing, right? Because, and I wasn't special operations, right? Like, I was in a recce unit. I did a bunch of cool shit, had a bunch of cool schools, worked with a bunch of cool people, and SW in particular, but like, I wasn't soft. However, I still experience a lot of these repercussions, right? So for 15 years, I taught my body, I only operated at night, right? As snipers, we only infill, we only exfil at night. Like, that's when I turned on. And so I noticed that, like, my energy level, my focus level, like, wasn't good during the day. But as soon as I would eat dinner at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m., I would turn on. And I couldn't go to sleep until, like, I'm not shitting, like 4 or 5 a.m. And, like, the sun's coming up, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I got to get to bed. But also, like, I'm always chasing this something, right? Because, like, nothing's satisfactory enough. Like, getting a fat check, like, that helps, right? But it's not sustaining me. And I'm like, what else do I need?
You need a mission, man.
Well, but the mission's a mission, but the mission doesn't give me the same adrenaline that, like, used to happen.
Yeah,
now you know a lot of guys that are skydivers or base jumpers, but also a lot of guys turn to fucking blow, or they go to amphetamines, right? Because it gives them that high that, like, reminds them of, like, right before you do a DA.
That's what happens when you have a lack of a mission.
Yeah. Oh, that was me. I had a lack of a mission, and all I was doing was chasing pussy at bars, and just basically my mission. I joke around because I wasn't married or anything. I was like trying to run it up on the tallies. You know, dude, I was literally just looking for tail, like being a whore, bro.
That was my mission.
I was like, my new mission is this, because I guess this is the part of life where I got to find somebody.
And it is so, but it is
that was
high.
a mission.
And then you have your satisfactory fucking realm,
and
it doesn't matter which way you approach it. But outside of the military, every way that you approach it, up until kind of where we stand now, is very unhealthy, right?
True.
It's drastically unhealthy. And so now, I mean, I'm still dealing with it right now of trying to figure out, like, how do I still get that high? Like, I've mandated that I work out enough, or even just wake up early enough to be tired at night to not turn on at night, right? And, I mean, weeds helped a lot. But, like, just trying to turn off, because my brain turns on at night. And I think it's a byproduct of working for so many years at night. And it's just conditioning your body. And then not to mention the hormones and the testosterone and like all these byproducts. I'm like, like, I'm not the fucking same. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I think entrepreneurship becomes, if you let it, I know it has for me, it's the new mission, you know? So now we set goals in our business.
You'll recorrect all habits because
you have a new mission, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like for example, like I'm working on a new mission now for myself. So like I'm recalibrating my diet and some of my fitness protocol stuff because I have a new mission that I'm working on.
It was exciting.
It's cool, man. It's because you have to reinvent yourself, dude. You have to like shed your old skin. You can't.
That's what
fucking,
living is, man.
Yeah, you can't fucking tread water,
agree.
dude. Like life in the world moves so fucking fast. Like if you're treading water, you're moving backwards. 100%. You have to fucking keep going and keep evolving to stay even relevant in your own life, man. And this is something I want to ask you too. I wrote it down early because I was thinking about it. But as far as aesthetic, right? So if you're just listening to this and you're not visually looking at it, so Austin's like super jack looking dude, but also he's tattooed from like neck down to toenails.
Yeah.
And so I've always looked at it like as an aesthetic, right? And that's one of the things I appreciate about being human is that you can how did I write this? You get to choose your own stripes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You built your own character.
You get to choose your own camouflage. Like in the wild, typically the animals with the brightest colors are the most dangerous, right? So like a venomous snake is usually a bright fucking color, like or you know, a tiger stripe or something like that. And one of the things I like about being a human is that you get to choose your own fucking stripes. So I was going to ask you about the aesthetic as like, because this is something we talk about in quite a few episodes, is you get to build yourself, but in parallel with building yourself, you have to build how you view yourself physically, whether that's in like your physique, your appearance, in every aspect. So, because you're super tatted up. When did that start at a certain point for you? It's always been your life? Or
I think there's things as kids that we want to I think the people, I see people sell themselves out and convince themselves not to be that character because they need to fit some kind of form to get some kind of job to be successful. Mm-hmm. And so what's cool, we live in an era now where people can see other people are successful, right? Not the rock star and the freaking porn star and the Navy guy with tats. Like that's what it used to be. And so, yeah, I've wanted it since I was a kid. I mean, I grew up watching, like I said, the Arnold movies, but also like Jesse James and freaking motorcycle shows. And I've been into cars my entire life. And so, like, that whole culture sunk me into it. I loved it. I was enthralled with it. And so tattoos, you know, getting jacked, looking a certain way was super important to me. And kind of building that character and helping me build that confidence at a young age.
100%, man.
I mean, I was 17. That's when I started lifting. So looking back, like I was, you could get pro hormones over the counter back in the day, and they were basically like shitty D-ball,
I remember,
and like whatnot. But you didn't know that, and then you could sell yourself on that you weren't doing anything. So at the same time, I was beating people with a tire iron. I was definitely taking pro hormones and partying, which is not bright. But you're 17 and you think you get it from the muscle store and it's normal. And so I was lifting weights and getting jacked. I quit all sports and was like, I'm just gonna get fucking jacked and work on cars.
When did you start on the tattoo trajectory?
So I got my first tattoo at 17 in someone's kitchen.
Shit.
Yeah, that was part of my whole era, right? My mom found I got tattoos. My dad's getting hit in the head because of a fight. I'm fucking going to jail. Yeah, they were not happy. And in Oklahoma, for people that don't know this, it was the last state to pass tattoo shops could be legalized in 2006.
What?
So
No
I graduated high
way.
school in 05, and so you had to go to Texas to get a tattoo.
Holy shit.
So what did we do? We'd go down to Oklahoma City by somebody's house that we knew that was a tattoo artist, probably some crackhead. I'm glad I don't have Hep B and shit. But like I got a star on my back at 17, and so we were all getting tatted, or somebody's getting barbed wire in Galveston, Texas.
So it must have been super rare where you were at.
Yeah, more rare for sure. And growing up in that, it's kind of the Bible Belt, right? Like, so being tatted in Oklahoma too at that time period, or even when I was younger, especially being pretty heavily tatted, I had a full sleeve at 19. Was people looked at you.
It
You know, I
goes
was
a long
still,
ways.
look,
But it was
looked at
also
you
taboo
like,
as
dang.
fuck.
It was super taboo.
Yeah.
Like, look, I looked at you in a good way. A lot of times, I had a massive insecurity with my tattoos for a long time when I tried to shift into being an entrepreneur because I felt like I needed to become or have this somebody else in order to be successful and not be this guy. And so it was a real dichotomy of me wanting to be somebody or really being pulled to this, and then during the weekdays trying to build a business and look like some other guy.
Yeah, I think part of that too is stepping into your own vision for yourself, you know,
And have the confidence to do so, or
Yeah.
the reputation that you can succeed.
Yeah, and now I know for me, man, I'm like when I'm out of shape or I don't feel like I'm representing myself physically, I don't make the best business decisions. I feel myself like kind of second guessing myself, and I lose confidence in my own decisions. And like, I don't operate at the level I want to operate in my business when I'm not in shape. And maybe there's just my own personal fucking insecurities.
Well, I was getting ready to say, like, not the opposite, but to your point, I've always been like tall and slim, right? However, there's been numerous times, I've been 235, I'm 6'1", been like jacked when I was at Blackwater. Like, you get tested for steroids all the time and all that shit, so like you couldn't do that, even like high test levels. And I feel, at least for me, and because of my body type, the gym is like full dedication and almost seems like a full-time job.
Oh, yeah.
Which I wholeheartedly like accept. However, my career and my entrepreneurship level requires so much more out of me to where I can't dedicate that same amount of time in order to get that. Mm-hmm. So I either get full business attention or I get full gym attention. And right now, like literally right now, I'm trying to balance gym and like company growth at the same time. I just joined this entrepreneurs organization.
Oh, EO?
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
sick.
I was in EO.
Yeah,
I just played golf with
a
a good friend of mine. He actually used to be my ex-wife's boss, but I just played golf with him on North Island the other day, and he's like, dude, you need in this. And so it gave me the introduction, and I need to have a phone call with him. But like, I feel like it's either or, and I can't have what I want out of both and balance them at the same time. Well, because of how much time it takes me. Because like, dude, I'm just like kind of like everyone's built different.
Well, I think
there's seasons.
It's possible. Yeah, the seasons. But also, I think like I'm sure you've solved this problem in your own life. I know for me, I found that what worked for me was compartmentalizing, like segmenting my day, and I'd carve out 2 hours, and that includes fucking getting ready, pre-workout.
Well, as a business owner, if you got to carve out that time, or you'll never do it. Because there'll never be a time that you will feel like it's optimal.
It'll get pushed. If you don't put it in there, it'll get pushed. Yep. But yeah, there's sometimes, and there's some seasons where like you're going through something in the business, and like, dude, you can't prioritize your fitness.
Straight up.
You gotta plug holes in the boat and keep
right. And I always feel like I'm consistently putting out fires or consistently taking phone calls or doing whatever.
Yeah.
And like the amount of time I need to spend in the gym, at least me. And like, dude, I mean, my test levels were at 330 and I'm 38. And like at 330, it shouldn't be the case, right? So I'm medically prescribed in order to take myself back up to around 9. Mm-hmm. And I'm at 9 right now. And like, dude, I'm packing on. And especially in like my down times, I'm like 185, 195, 2. Right now I'm at 205. And I'm trying to figure out the balance, right? And the balance is the hardest fucking thing. And like, dude, I got a gym, I got a garage gym, and I'm trying to fucking nail it out. But at the same time, like, I don't want to be interrupted because my mind's on this. It's not on lifting weights. And like, I hate being distracted by the two.
Well, how do you do? I just do 1 hour a day, 4 to 5 days a week. That's literally it. So 2 hours from the time I take pre-workout to the time I'm done showering and ready to get back into business. 2 hours out of my day, 4 to 5 days a week.
Also, the key is supersets, right?
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that's how you maximize your time.
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing buys and tries, do tries, do buys, do tries, do buys.
I almost never work out more than an hour.
No, same.
Yeah.
Same.
You can get a lot done in an hour.
But also,
wake
you guys
up
are taking
early,
a lot more shit than I am.
No, not that crazy. No.
Yeah, I'm at 0.5 mLs or whatever a week.
No, it's just blocking out the time. Like, it's literally just like waking up earlier. You know what I mean? If you go to the gym and start at 5 and you're home by 7, nobody.
Right. And to your point, which is also why I'm trying to turn off like the night mode, because like, dude, I can stay up till 3:30 all like just watching shit, and I'm like, fuck this, and I just turn it off, and I'm like, I try to be in bed by midnight.
Sometimes you got to force yourself, dude.
I have to.
Yeah, because you got to force change, man. Because then once you do it after a while, then.
But I've been doing it for like 10 years, and I'm like still.
Everybody tells you to wake up early, but not very many people are telling you that you need to set a bedtime.
I hate waking up early, dude. Motherfucking Johnny Primo called me at 6 o'clock this morning. I'm like, motherfucker, I ain't.
What makes you think I'm answering this phone call?
Motherfucker, I ain't Jocko, bro. Like,
yeah, I'm not up at 4.
I'm in bed, bro. Like, relax. Call me in an hour.
It's like I said before, dude.
But I'm just saying, if he's going to that, there's a time that you have to get that right. There's also a time for rest, and sometimes too, right?
Yeah, it's true, and so. dude, it's trying to find that balance, right? Because like,
but I don't think there's ever a
days
balance. It's trying to find the balance that articulates with the schedule of the business.
But that's also a thing about being an
priority is.
entrepreneur. You got to run your company, you got to stay fit, and you also have to find more business.
Yeah.
And then also you have to find time for yourself.
Well, he's doing this. Plus, he got 2 kids too.
I know, which is so admirable. Which is why I'm so stoked that you're on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting it done, bro. Like even when I was in the military, you know, we'd go to the field and whatnot, and we'd come back from a training exercise. I'd be like, I still go to the gym.
Right, and we're no
Because I
stranger
don't look
to
at
that.
it like I got to go to the gym to work out to get this size or physique. I would go to the gym because that's where I like to go. Like I wanted to.
Yeah.
I felt better. Like I felt
You know,
better.
this might be a good theme because we all have our wives that work in the business with us.
Yeah.
And I know that for my stuff, like Disney and I don't have any kids together, but we're very involved in the business. She's got her horse riding stuff. I've got my gym stuff. But she very supportive of what I'm doing, and I try to support her as she's doing. I know how you guys operate, but how do you guys operate? Like with what you're doing, like when you're coming here and doing this, like how do you guys manage the schedule with the kids and the workflow and all that?
Yeah, it's just like a team. Like honestly, like it's never been. That's the beauty of like when I found the right person. You know, was the fact that it wasn't well, it's my time with the girls, it's my time with the guys. It's not that. It was never that divisive conversation. It was like we do this together.
Amen.
And that was all
Amen.
it is. Like that's how we've been the whole entire path. Like when I started learning about real estate and going to these seminars or joining EO, like it was a collective decision. And she was like, I want to learn too. It's not like
Yep.
I go do this.
They
and
need
she
to be
does that.
just as hungry as you are.
100%. Absolutely.
They need to be.
Has to be.
Yeah.
That's the key, man. You need a fucking partner who's a partner. So many people I know marry a chick as, oh, she's hot. I'm like, bro, that fades so
good luck.
fucking quick, dude.
Exactly.
No,
You gotta-
and like Ryan knows.
You got a
dude.
useless mannequin as a wife, dude.
Might as well stay single and slayed whatever you wanted to do and go back to your work,
Way
bro.
easier.
Yeah, dude. I
1000%.
was married for 10 years and never earned more than $60K a year, and went through a bitter fucking divorce. And now with my new wife, we've been together for 5 years, and also I've never seen more success in my entire life.
That's huge.
And I taught her everything I know. She's CEO of my company. I'm CEO. And like half the shit I don't want to do, I put off on her. And she's happy as fuck to do it and comes back with pure gold. Clients
And
are
she does it
happy.
better.
She does it better. Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
That's what
hands
happens.
down, dude. I couldn't do what she
Totally.
does. And I just
Same.
realized her strengths and I just inhibited her. I'm like, oh, you're good at this? Like, it was like a crawl, walk, run. And so Nikki, my current wife, she's from Canada, and we met at Chacho, which is like right before COVID. And this is right before COVID. And so we kind of started talking, and then she would draw me like birthday cards and shit. But like, I'm like, did you draw this? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, they were dialed with a pen. And I'm like, okay. So I bought her an iPad. I'm like, practice on this. And then I put Photoshop on it. And then I kept on doing this. And then I bought her a camera. And then I fucking put a camera in her hands. And I'm like, so here's how this works. Next thing I know, she usually fucking runs half the company.
Sick, dude.
And I could not be fucking more honored, more proud, like just more stoked. Like I couldn't do it by myself. And
No, 100%.
so to all of our points, like, dude, find the woman. And also, let's get to the biggest topic at hand. If something's not working out for you and you've been married to somebody, because I've experienced this going through a divorce. Like, I always thought that the reason that my marriage is failing was a fault of my own. Always. I'm like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing this right. I need to continuously change myself. But what I never did was actually maybe think that she might be part of the problem. And once we got divorced, thank God she made it easy for me. She walked out, stole everything, bounced. But I quickly realized she was part of the problem. Right? And now...
Well, if you listen to them, they're never the problem.
Exactly. But
Takes two to
but
tango,
it's
man.
evident. It's fucking evident. And so once you realize that, like, you don't have to keep on doing X, Y, and Z, you can do this. And so now that I've found an amazing woman, I'm good to go. Yep. And now I can articulate in the same language that I speak to anybody with, and it's worked, right? The only hard part that I had to learn is I can't talk to her like I used to talk to one of my soldiers because that bit me in the ass quick.
For sure.
Yeah, I went through the same thing. I know a little bit of your story. I know my story, but I'm curious how you've done this. Like, how did you integrate Alicia into your business? And I know you guys were aligned, but how did you guys figure out the roles and responsibilities so that you don't step on each other's toes?
It wasn't easy.
That?
It's never easy. I mean, honestly, it's forever changing too with what you do and pivot. And so, essentially when I got pushed off into entrepreneurship, started building houses and then was doing customs, high-end stuff. And she was still working. She was able to work from home remotely at the time. And I was still working on growing this company, doing building. And then one point, essentially, she was going to have the second kid. She's like, I can't do it. Can't have my job and do this. My grandparents watched the baby for a little bit. And then she finally quit. And then I was like, we're going to do something. Like, you're going to help with something. We can do something here. And she was with the kids, but she would also started doing the books, which was the worst fucking thing that I could ever do. But it's what I emulated from like my parents doing it, my grandparents doing it. So I was like, oh yeah, my wife will just do the books. You can do this. But she doesn't have any accounting fucking degree. She doesn't have any. She didn't want to do this shit. And so that was a really hard time in our lives. She's raising the babies, me too. But I was like, yeah, you get the books now. This is your job if you're not going to have a fucking job, kind of like an attitude. Yeah. And because I'm going to go out here and grind. I got to go, get some more jobs. I need some more projects. I got to check the guys.
Yep.
And she just covered what she needed to cover, but then it got real tension, a lot of tension that way because she didn't know how to do books. She's not good at books. She hated doing that shit. And so things were fucked up because I'm like, I took her and made her almost an employee, and now I'm bossing. I'm like, what? Why the fuck are the checks not out for the guys on this way, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay, hold up. That's when I realized, like, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe my parents don't know everything about entrepreneurship. I need to go seek outside counsel of how this is really done. And so that's when I started to educate myself, get into the right groups and stuff. And the first thing that we were taught and we did was get her out of the bookkeeping, and I brought in a bookkeeper. And it was the best fucking decision that we ever made.
No shit.
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
How did you figure out what tasks to put her into? Was it something like, did you figure out
it's
what
still
her
in the air
strengths
now
are?
all the time.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because she's more of her personality. I'm sure for your companies you've looked at like PI tests and personality tests. So we've done our own. We've had our team do our own in the past. And what you realize through that is like it's cool to reflect back on you. It's like, oh, this is pretty honest. This is what I like. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm not. And these are the places I need to cover. And so her personality is really good at like, give me this thing. I'll get it done. And then it's like, she's not going to be consistent. It's not going to be the same thing next. She's like, I'm bored with it. She's like, boom, I'm bored with it. She's more like a super attack, get it done. But if you give her the same thing every day, like you have to do this every day, she's going to fucking hate it and she won't do it right. She won't do it well.
Which is also completely fine.
Yeah, 100%. So that means we just have to cover roles that are outside of that. And so what Alicia's good at is like whatever, she's basically like, just filling in the holes. Like whatever has to be done. Can you get this done? Did you check on this? Can you do that? And so she kind of does a lot of that now. And like, for instance, when I was getting out of building like custom homes, I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. Even though I'm making good money, I built a brand, I'm doing all these things. I'm still having to sell my soul to these clients and retail style clients and really miserable when it came to that. And I was like, I want to learn how to just become the dude in flip-flops and make a fuckload of money and own a bunch of shitty houses. Like, that's the guy I want to be. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I was like, that's what I fucking want to do. Yeah. And so I started going into that. But I still had the business to run because it still fed our families and paid our bills. And so she was excited about the same opportunity that I was. She went to the classes with me. She educated with me. We listened to the books together. Awesome. And so she kind of beta tested the real estate investing, right? She was like a little bit of a property manager. She ended up getting her license. And when she started doing some of the deals that we were learning about is when I realized that, okay, this does make enough money for me to fucking lap move and stop taking on homes and stop taking on new construction projects. And so her role's always evolved, and I think she likes that her role evolves. Yeah. Because if I was like, this is what you do, her personality, that wouldn't be good for that. So there's no generic answer.
Yeah, she got a strong personality. It's interesting, too, because that's a very different dynamic than Disney and I have.
Really?
Like similar like personality types, but very different operational roles. But I was going to ask, actually, this is a question that Coda brought up, is like if somebody's listening and they're like, hey, I want to do something, my wife wants me involved, but we don't know how to do it. Like, what are the steps that you would recommend they take, or where would somebody start with that?
So you got to self-educate. You got to learn. We're not taught. We're taught how to ride a bike. We're taught how to swim. We're taught how to do all these things. We're taught how to go get a degree, or whatever. But nobody's taught about money most of the time. And then the education that they have about finances comes from usually their family or their parents or their closest friends,
which are the least responsible with it.
100%. If they're not where you want to be, then don't take advice from them.
Exactly.
And
that
so
could not be
you gotta
more true.
You gotta go self-educate. It's more important to invest in yourself and educate. And I know people get all gurued out about online classes and online learning and all that shit, but the reality is you really should invest in learning how to do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's
How else are you going to learn it? I mean, if your dad's in oil and gas, you're probably going to get in oil and gas. Or if your dad, it's just how it worked. I was in construction. My dad was in construction. I started doing construction.
Dude, my business, I think, is pretty intuitive. You know what I mean? Like, there's very few business problems where, at the end of the day, after we figured out that it wasn't very obvious looking back, I'm like, oh, of course that's a fucking answer. It makes sense. It was always staring you in the face. You're just like, oh, I just overthought the problem, right? So most business that I've found is pretty straightforward, but there's two parts of business that don't make any fucking sense and that are always confusing and still confuse me to this day. Number one is employees, because they do random shit all the time. They're so hard to figure out that it's not intuitive. They do stuff that makes no fucking sense for no reason. It's a whole different fucking ball game. Yeah, people are the hardest.
People are
part
the biggest
about
liability and the biggest asset.
Exactly. Yeah, and the other piece of that is finance, because I was bootstrapping all my companies up until 4 years. In 18 years, up until 4 years ago, we never had to take on any loans. We just had money, we'd pay our bills, had money, pay our bills. It was very linear. And so I didn't really have to have a whole lot of experience with finance. And I kind of knew about like saving money and taxes and all that stuff, but it was a very simple operation as far as the financial side of things. But once we had a big blowout, almost lost the whole company about 4 years ago, got us into a massive amount of debt, made a bunch of bad decisions, hired the wrong people, and a bunch of different shit. But anyway, we ended up about $500,000 in the hole, and I was like, fuck, dude, almost lost the whole ship. So I had to quickly figure out the finance game, and I realized, like, dude, it makes no fucking sense. Like, it's not intuitive. It's not linear. It's not something where you can say, oh, this. Somebody really has to explain it to you.
You talking about the money side of it?
Yeah, the money side.
100%.
Because it's not something you can figure out. And even looking back,
no.
Even though I have a better grasp of it now, even looking back, I still don't know why it makes fucking sense. I just know this is the legal way to do things, and this is the functional pattern.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't make any fucking sense. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think the financial side of things has been one of the biggest mysteries to me. We're still trying to figure it out, man. And I was listening to I listened to a bunch of stuff over the years, but you were hitting on it with Ritland's podcast, was the financial structure of when you realize that your business is really able to a whole different level.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most important part. Is what I had to realize was like the most important thing that I needed to learn was this new information, because I was doing the action. I was a go-getter. I would figure it out. I would get a construction loan. I would check on the guys. I would sweep the house. I'll stay up to midnight. I'll do whatever the fuck it takes when it comes to putting in some elbow grease.
But it's also growth.
But it's like, I don't know what I don't know. Right. And so if I don't know what I don't know, then I'm like, I got to learn that part of it. And really, when I started to learn that part of it and focus on that part of it is when everything changed. And I think real estate specifically works well, because it's, for me as a knuckle dragger grunt marine, like I was like, it's a house. It's not, there's a difference in like assets, like houses and commercial and buildings, and then there's business, right, with EBITDA and net operating income and whatnot. And so once I learned about the finance side from the loans you could get, how interest rates worked, how assets were collateralized, how equity works, then I almost started to see a lot clearer on how expenses versus income, revenue, and all these things started to unfold over here. And I've hired many of the consultants too to come into the business and pick stuff apart, and that's when I felt the dumbest, when like you're living out of the company.
Right.
The credit cards are getting swiped for dinner all the time, like, it's the company's got cash. It's like, yeah, but how much accounts receivable do you have coming in, and how much is accounts payable, and like how profitable are you really? And you don't know at the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you think outside of like job specific shit, like what were the catalysts that you learned, like in an overarching view, that like helped change you?
Not all businesses are created the same. Like if you're talking about money specifically?
Well, I mean, that in and of itself is a generalization, but like what are the things that you didn't know that you thought that you knew, right? That were maybe like a light bulb, and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And that
good
you
question.
Wanted to change right away.
I think from the get-go,
Like what's the
back.
most important factor of being like an entrepreneur? Is it the accounting factor? Is it the growth factor? Is it the marketing factor? Like, what is like the most important thing that like helped you grow from like being okay to being like, fuck you?
The ability to be coachable and to put your ego down and ask questions to people that have already done it.
That's not a skill set. That's a trait.
Time. Yeah, but there's not a skill set. A skill set won't get you there. I know a lot of people that can make a cabinet with their skills, but they don't make shit for money.
That's true, but maybe like a learned skill set, right? Because and the only reason why like I didn't mean to knock on that because it's absolutely true, but I think it's a byproduct of the three things that like we've learned throughout our military career. It's like shut the fuck up and just listen, be a sponge. But like with regards to business and being an entrepreneur, because and I'm actually asking this for my own like good. Like, what was that point when you went to the EO group and when you started asking the questions in order to learn that it really kind of took off? Like, was there like a light bulb moment that really kind of transitioned you from going from like making it to killing it?
I don't think I ever feel like I'm killing it, honestly, you'll never feel like it's done. It's not done. Like each new level or whatever, it has its own new level, new devils. So what happens a lot of times with business is if you're doing 10 million or 20 million or fucking 5 million or a million or 5,000, you're going to have your own issues, your own problems, and they're just as big feeling as they are to the other guy that's doing bigger numbers. And the other thing that kind of was a light bulb moment was me being in EO or being in other entrepreneur organizations and getting to hear and understand the backsides of other businesses and realizing that nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, which is what Ryan said earlier.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's like what that made me do though, this is what that's super important. I think that I try to reiterate a lot with my content is that there are only a few financial vehicles that will actually get you to a result. Right. And so many people want to take their hobby or their skill set or the thing that they love, and then it doesn't really match the results that they want. Right. It just doesn't. And so if you can think further, like what I challenge people to do all the time is like, you got to understand what your target is, what your goal is, and it will change. Your mission will change. But what outcome, what lifestyle do you want to have? And if you can figure that out, then you can start deductive reasoning on what not the fuck to do. And then you can apply all that effort and energy into what to do. Because if I want to have a free lifestyle where I can do whatever I want when I want and make money geographically free or whatever, then I probably don't want to start selling sandwiches at the sandwich shop and open up a fucking lease for 20 grand a month and lock myself
cost
down.
benefit analysis.
So that's the key though. And so if you think that, then I think that's huge. That's a long answer, but
yeah.
To answer your question, you said, is there a light bulb moment? No, there's like thousands of little light bulbs that you pick up on, and sometimes it takes you longer than you'd like.
Right.
Like it's like a squiggly line all over the place.
That's what I've noticed too. It's funny though. I've noticed having so many conversations with people, oftentimes, and this is, I've heard there's this one, it's a guru quote that they always say to make themselves look smarter is, what do you want? Like, it's fucking, dude, nobody knows what the fuck they want.
No. You fucking...
Right. Nobody knows. But
don't get me started on you and me and Joshua Tree.
Oh, God. And then but nobody fucking knows what they want because it changes day to day, changes year to year, changes decade to decade. But the thing is, like, I've seen people use this, one guy in particular, and they use it because nobody really has a good answer for that. And then they're like, well, fucking, then they go off on their fucking thing to make themselves look good. But what I've noticed is that everybody has a hard time describing what they want, right? But if you ask them the opposite, if you ask them what they don't want, people are super fucking clear. Super clear. It's like, where do you want to go to dinner? Oh, well, this and that. Where do you not want to go? You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of the times it changes because it depends on where you're at in life. Because once you get past the point of worrying about gas, worrying about groceries and things like that, and worrying about your credit card bills, like that's what most people are worried about. And so what do they want? They want not to be stressed out. They want not to have financial.
So that leads into my next question, right? And I ask a lot of my very successful friends this question, and I honestly generally want two answers from you guys. Whereas there's a cap, right? And I've worked for multiple celebrities doing executive protection, and I've seen what money brings them, and they don't want it, right? Like more money, more problems. It's a fact. So if I could ask you guys individually, what is like the financial net liquid annual revenue that you could take in and you're happy, right? Unless, and the answer can be sky's the fucking limit, right? But I'm not talking like a Bezos or an Elon or whatever, because I have a mark, right? Like, I'm already comfortable. I'm doing okay in life. Am I where I want to be? Am I making investments? Have I took my mom and have a cabin in the woods in Indiana? No. But like, there is a cap, right? Because there's a certain amount that I need and I can spend. And then also, you know, being gracious and donating to nonprofits and being able to be a philanthropist. And I want to have that ability as well. And so that's fine and it's all included. But is there a number that you've ever thought about that will not jade you to the point where you look down upon where you came from, but still maintains your humanity, but you're not so jaded that you're a fucking Bezos?
Yeah. So my answer is probably not what you're looking for, but I'm going to give you the answer.
No, great, dude.
So you can't attach happiness to the financial side. There's two different sectors that you're looking for. So essentially, I was happy when I was hanging out with Ryan in the Marine Corps. I know Ryan was in the Marine Corps, but you get my point. Like, I was happy fucking carrying a saw around, talking shit, smoking cigarettes.
Right.
I was happy. Was I satisfied with where I was going? At that time. But it's okay not to be satisfied, but you should always still be happy regardless, because you get a breath every morning. You get to continue your life. So if you attach happiness to a specific version of success, you'll never obtain these things. And something that I got a glimpse of being around these entrepreneurs, which is really what I would never trade my life for, which is what you're seeing. You know, you're seeing that with talking about working with celebrities. It's two different things. You have an internal person that you have to work on, then you have the financial aspect of it. The financial aspect of it is only going to magnify who you are and what you do with it, right? Like, if you're a good person and you make $1 zillion, you can give to more people, you can help more people, you can do more things that you like to do. If you're a bad person, you can cause more chaos and corruption and control, like politicians in some aspects. And so the question is a double-sided answer. You yourself should always be happy along the journey. Doesn't mean you will be, right? There'll be things that come up that piss you off, that stress you out and whatnot, but it's not attached to the financial aspect. It's not a money mark for me. You know what I mean? Like, worst case scenario, I go fucking bankrupt and I have a zero. You know what? I get to fucking do it again, but I have the knowledge to continue to go down the road. You know, I got 2 beautiful kids and a wife, and we'll figure it out. But it's not necessarily attached to my happiness, if that makes sense.
And I don't, which, by the way, that was a beautiful answer. Like, could not fucking concur with that.
Well, hold
more.
on. Let me. So this is how I have this perception. When I was in EO, there's a dude in there that sold his company for almost 9 figures, right under. Made a lot of money. And I became friends with them, because you're in these kind of groups and you're like, wow, I get to rub elbows with these types of people. And so when I was in those kind of groups, I realized a lot of those fucking guys with a lot of money aren't happy. But you know what also I realized?
That's why I asked this question.
You were talking about money, but you're talking about money because you're.
But there's also a level to where you're unhappy.
Let him finish.
So listen. So on the other side of it, I was also at a CrossFit gym or at the gym with my bros, and those fucking guys aren't happy either. So these guys are over here talking shit because you bought a $100,000 car or a $200,000 car. Oh, what are you going to do, show off your money? Because they're all fucking insecure about the lack of money that they have. So they themselves haven't worked on their own insecurities. These people over here, oh, you going to go to the fucking gym? Oh, you're going to go work out? Why aren't you hanging out and fucking drinking beer till 3 a.m. with us? We're entrepreneurs. We're doing our thing. I'm like, holy fuck. Both of you guys are the same insecure people. These people think you have money and you're an asshole, and these people think you're fucking fit and you're an asshole.
You can do all of it.
You can do all of it, 100%. And what I realized is, like, I don't fit into one fucking crowd specifically at all.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be those guys.
Yeah, I think we all find our own balance, man. That's a good question. But I think, like you said, man, money doesn't change who you are. It just amplifies who you already are. If you're already an asshole, you're going to be a mega asshole. If you're already a really good person, you're going to be able to do a lot of good in the world. The other thing is that it relieves a lot of pain. Money solves a lot of fucking problems,
1,000%.
Solves a lot of problems. Doesn't solve everything, but it does solve a lot of major, big fucking problems. David Lee Roth had a good quote on this, is that money doesn't buy happiness, but it'll buy a big old yacht pull up right next to it. I
1,000% agree with that. Yeah, money solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, and then the final thing on this is, like, from a technical standpoint, I like to look at it from a monthly perspective. So, like, what do I need monthly for the house that I want to live in? How much does that cost per month? I don't look at it as like an annual, because it's I don't live annually. I live monthly. What are my bills I need to pay monthly? So how much money does my house cost per month? Every $1 million is roughly what, $6,000 in mortgage, right? So what do I need there? What kind of car do I want to drive? What's the monthly payment on that? What do I need there? And also, like, what if I want to do trips, if I want to, like, take my friends on a fucking, like, chart a baller yacht and fucking BVI for a week, like, what does that cost? And for me, man, honestly, it's not that much. Like, in the grand, it's going to sound like a lot, but a couple $100,000 a month, I can do everything I want to fucking do.
Net, 100%.
Yeah, I can do everything I want to do with a couple $100,000 a month.
Absolutely.
Yeah, get all the cars I want to get.
A couple isn't two.
The biggest thing is that there's a level of like where you feel once you're above water, once you feel you're above baseline or water, you're not worried about the gas, you're not worried about the cars. But then it's like then you can go and you can buy more experiences. And the experience would be like, yeah, does Ryan need a 10,000 square foot house? No, but it's an experience and he has the ability to do so. So congratulations.
Well, I look at it as like I wouldn't even want a 10,000 square foot house because, like, I don't want to clean that motherfucker.
Yeah, but I would challenge your thought process on that because if you don't have to clean it yourself.
Right, but what I prefer, I would prefer personally a 3,000 square foot house exactly where the fuck I want it to be.
Location,
on a
bro.
Cliff, overlooking something, sick fucking place.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then the
couldn't agree more.
The ability to go experience different things every time. So if I want to go Airbnb every month and like we did on my birthday, go have that like every month, that would be fucking ideal. And that's not a lot of money. That cost me $5,000 for the whole weekend.
Well, what I realized
such a sick time
during that, like me building. So while I was a builder, I built 3 of our own custom homes, like ground up blueprints. I made the garage sizes. I made the fucking bedrooms. I made everything to the T. I chose the tile. I chose the grout. I chose the paint. I chose everything. And what happened was over that period of time, like I made my wife move like 6 times in like 6 years. Like I was building and I'd sell it, I'd build it, I'd sell it. But what happens is you get detached from materialistic thing. And people may say that I'm materialistic because of, we got a Rolls Royce, we got a Rolex, we got cars and shit.
It's
but
cool shit.
The opposite is actually true because it's just fun shit.
It is true.
But it doesn't like necessarily define somebody. And so what I realized is I got addicted to the change. Like I moved from Oklahoma to San Diego less than a year and a half ago. Like I can't tell you where I'll be in the next 5 years, but I lease my house now. Why? Because it's freeing. I don't give a shit. I can fucking pay the bill every month. If I want to go move somewhere else next year, I will. Yeah. But I also understand the fact that I need to own assets and other capacities that make me money and do that. But for me, I'm like addicted to the experiences and changing because if I feel like I'm in one spot too long, I feel like I go crazy.
Yeah, you feel stagnant.
You feel stagnant. Maybe it's the operator syndrome type thing, but I've been like that.
Well,
always,
I mean, and honestly, it is, and that's part of the process, right? Because like now, as opposed to skydiving or fucking doing a shit ton of drugs, like your like fucking like thrive is based off of like chasing new experiences, chasing new places.
I tell people this too.
Establishing new shit.
It'll prevent me from also becoming somebody that is uber successful. Because the people that are uber successful are the fucking guys that are more focused on the business and want the business because they're looking at that as the chess game. I look at life as the chess game. Like you talk about Elon. Elon doesn't care so much about experiences. You know what I'm saying? So I would care more about the experience side of things. I make money to use as a tool to have experiences and to do what I want, when the fuck I want, how I want. I don't use money as like a measuring tool to like just grow the business. I would hate to be a miserable person.
People need to define for themselves what success means to them before they chase anything.
Exactly what I'd say. Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
You guys didn't even give me an answer, but you did. And those are perfect fucking
answers.
There's
no straight answer.
No, those are perfect answers. Like literally, and dude, yours was perfect.
Dude, so
fucking perfect. The guy like chase the experience, not the money.
100%. Well, it also matters. Like some people don't like experiences. The guy that I was talking about in EO specifically sold his company for 8 figures, did really well. And he's like, I always want to travel. My wife and I always were going to travel. We want to see the world. Dude built a $5 million house in Oklahoma, which you can imagine what that is out here. It'd be like a $20 million house, right? $30 million house. Yeah. And crushed it. And anyways, he went and traveled for about a month, and he's like, I'm a fucking homebody, bro. I do not give a shit about traveling. I don't want to be on planes. I don't want to go to these places. I want to watch a movie at my house. Yeah. I don't want to deal with it. Totally. I'm gaining perspective while I'm listening to him talk about that. But I also, when I bought my Lambo, my first exotic, right, it was a big deal to me. And I drove it to lunch to meet him because I didn't know who else to fucking call. It wasn't my buddy that I was a pipeline welder with. He's going to be like, that's cool. Like, you're a douchebag for showing off.
Yeah, literally.
And that's what most people say, right? Most military guys, most blue-collar guys are like, you're an asshole. And but this guy, I was like, I could show this guy. I'm going to fucking, let's go to lunch, dude. I just want, and I drove it. And he goes, I'm proud of you for driving your car. And I was so confused because I would drive anything, a bucket I had, anything I was working on, dude. Like, my cars are like fucking cool. Like, I care about cars. It's something that I enjoy.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's an experience. If you don't, then no big deal. But this guy, he's like, yeah, I just feel really insecure when I drive my cars. He had a Huracan, he had a Ferrari, he had all sorts of other toys in his massive pad. He felt insecure about driving the car. And I was like, well, why? He's like, well, I just never feel like I deserved it. And I'm like, so people can also have a lot of money and make it really far and then still have a massive amount of insecurities that they don't face. And I personally will go back to the fact that, like, I would never trade positions with him. I would rather make a lot less money and be more confident and be more secure in who I am than be confused about who I was.
Why did he have that hang up?
A lot of people chase the money
maybe
and think
he didn't earn it, or his daddy.
Well, no, he earned it 100%. But the problem is, I like to explain it like this. It's like a chair. You have to have 4 legs on a chair to have a stable chair. And a lot of people will push on the money vertical because they were never athletic or successful in fitness in some kind of way, or they don't look good. And so when they become really fucking successful in money, then they try to cover up all of the other things they're not good at. But the reality is, when the guys were talking shit about me going to the gym, these in the EO, and these business owners doing 20, 30 million when I'm barely able to qualify to get an EO, they're also the ones that every year, December, well, I'm going to lose fucking 20 pounds. I'm going to get back in the gym. Yeah. And so what happens is people will mask whatever insecurity they have. Yep. And so so they'll stand on, if I make a lot of money, it's no different than the guys in the gym. CrossFit guys will fucking talk shit on the guys that make the money.
Bezos building a dick rocket to try to compete with Elon.
What's your snatch?
Because
well, it's always like that, man. It's like, well, I don't give a shit about money because I'm fucking fit and I'm for my family or whatever. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, dude, bro.
It's a prime example, though, because if you look at Bezos, it's the same thing. Because I was with Elon at, like, the Cybertruck launch event, and Bezos showed up. And Bezos' like girlfriend at the time wanted to jump into the truck and like drive it, and Jeff was like, absolutely fucking not. Like, Jeff and Elon hate each other.
That's funny.
So I get it. I absolutely get it. And but either way, your guys' answers were impeccable. And it's always something I don't want to ask people because it's humbling. It's also trying to associate your goals with your work ethic and where you want to go.
Well, it's like we talked about in the beginning, man. Like, certain questions you just have to answer for yourself. You know, like, you can learn, you can hear all the stories, but there's certain things that, especially as a man, we're just wired to be retarded. Like, we got to burn our fucking hand when it's hot.
What I hate the most, though, is that when people will talk shit about certain things that they've never experienced, but it's only because of their insecurities or their belief that they can never achieve it. Yeah. And so a lot of times, just be real, it's with money. And it's most people's insecurities with money. And so they'll be like, oh, fucking, it must be nice or this and that. And the reality is, like, I would rather just work for however long it takes to try to have the experiences that I want to have.
I've seen that in the military entrepreneur space.
It's same with a lot of the vets, right? Like you said a second ago, the guys that get out and they're like, talk about it like they were Uncle Rico in high school. Yeah. Like, remember when I was a team guy or when I was this? And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But, like, what are you doing next?
What are you doing now? Yeah.
Where is this going?
Next? Yeah. Oh, speaking of, what are you doing now? Like, what's the next thing for you?
Man, so we're selling off a decent portion of our portfolio in Oklahoma. So we're selling off all of our rental property out there. We'll liquidize that, and then we'll probably end up doing either some deals out here or we'll do some commercial, maybe in Texas or something like that. So that'll be my real estate side. And then I'm really kind of focused a lot on my online education side. So I help other people get into real estate specifically, like, because that is what changed my life, like, financially, because I'm running a service business before, running a construction company before, like what Ryan said, employees are hard. I was like, I just want to be the dude that owns X amount of properties that pay me X amount of dollars and understand that side of it. And I was like, I guess there was a light bulb moment. That was one of the light bulb moments, was realizing, like I said, not all businesses are created equal, because you can work really hard in the hot dog stand, but the reality of the odds you making it to having a lifestyle where you get to live free is very small.
Yeah, I think that's a good trend. It's a good evolution of entrepreneurship to investor. In fact, my little brother, he's just turned 20. Great dude, very driven, but he was asking me, like, he's got all these ideas of what he wants to do with entrepreneurship. I'm like, dude, go to Austin's course. Like,
real estate.
This is what you should do. You'd be way more money than me.
Because you don't have to think about all the things that have to run a service business or anything else, right? It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. When it's a house or it's property or it's flipping, you could literally do it with you, yourself, and I.
Yeah.
So tell not only me but everybody else, how do they get into your investment program?
The easiest thing is just to connect with me on social media. So at Austin.Hancock1.
Okay.
Yeah, or my website, austinhancock.com.
Yeah, dude, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm going to be the first person in it. Well, the next person in it.
Yeah. Well, it's huge. Like anybody that is an entrepreneur, this is what you need to think about, though, from a real estate standpoint. Even if you don't want to do real estate, you got to think about this. Because if you're making, let's say you make $1 million in gross revenue here and you have a tax bill at some point, you're going to have a tax bill. If you're able to go take down property and buy assets with the bank's leverage and depreciate those assets, if you can bring home an extra $100,000 or $50,000 or eliminate a tax bill on your balance sheet, then you are making more money just by owning more property, and that property is going to go up in value while those tenants pay those properties down.
Hard asset too. I mean, this is where I fucked up. Is I always kept betting on myself and like, I'm going to roll money in the business. I'm not putting money in this. I'm going to put in the business, and that was a mistake because the business might be worth something, but I don't have any fucking hard assets, and I should, but I don't because I was like, I'm going to bet on myself, which sounds sexy, but it's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. I should have done more with real estate. I wish I had carved some money off, grown a little less.
I mean, that's not stupid. It could have been worth $100 million. Evaluation. You never know.
Yeah, it's just the lessons I would tell my fucking younger self.
I just knew how hard it was going to be after I started getting into entrepreneurship to grow a business. I was like, this is insane. Getting employees, getting more insurance, getting more overhead, getting more things. Right. I was like, well, this seems super dumbed down. I can handle this.
One thing I didn't realize about the real estate too, until I started getting into the financial side of things, is that it's not really about the real estate. It's about the leverage that the real estate gives you and the financial things that you can do with it afterwards.
You just having a balance. People are always like, well, what about your credit? What about this? I'm like, well, now that I have my assets that I have, I'm like, I don't even need a fucking credit score, really.
No.
I mean, they're going to look at my balance sheet and see the houses, how much equity I have, and they'll collateralize it, and they'll give me a loan. Or they'll just do it.
Fuck, that's dope, man.
It's learning the real estate side's a huge component of it, man, to be honest.
Dude, I feel like this podcast was TED Talk for me. I'm fucking in, dude. Thank you.
For sure.
Well, dude, I hope everybody listening has got some insight on this. We covered a lot of ground, man.
We did.
We did.
Adolescent fucking
stupidity
street fights, and military
dude,
stuff.
I mean, this is hands down one of my favorites.
Awesome.
Entrepreneurship, financial stuff, relationship. I think it's good stuff, man, bro. Thank you so much for coming out, man.
Of course.
Dude, thank you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, if you guys are listening, whatever platform you're on, please like, subscribe, make a comment, all the normal stuff.
Drop us a review, and be sure to hit up Liberty Risk website and dude, snag some swag.
Yeah, liberty-risk.com. Oh, and we started a Patreon account now too, which
we did officially.
Which by the time this is out, we might have something on it.
Yeah, we are actually, what I want you guys to do is I want you to drop us a DM, let us know. We started a Patreon, and we are now collectively, between me, Ryan, and Kevin, trying to figure out what we want to do in order to offer you more than what we currently do right now. So hit us up, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, Kevin's suggestion was dick pics. I was like, well, I mean, we could do that.
You all know. All right. Peace, everybody.